Hello, hello, hello. It's been a little while since I've been real. Hello, people in chat. I see you're in chat, Diego. Hello. How is everybody doing? Um, it's been a little while, so I'm a bit out of practice for streaming, but I hope everybody's doing well today. I wanted to go over the Destiny versus Camden Owens debate just because I saw it a while ago. I was a little curious, but I decided to put it off since I had a few things coming up. And during that time, I saw Mr. Destiny getting razzed on a little bit on Twitter, which, was kind of funny. It was stuff about like his I guess he's polyamorous, so, or an open relationship or whatever, and his girlfriend was like cucking him a little bit, and there was this like Middle Eastern guy that she kept slinging dong with. So I don't know, that was kind of funny. But what really got me intrigued in it, in regards to like Destiny in the first place. Now, see, I've never watched Destiny. I've never really consumed any of his content. The most I've seen about him is like more adjacent things. Well, obviously everybody has probably heard about Destiny and JonTron debating, which was forever ago. That's ancient history. And then there's like Vosh and Destiny that have debated before too. And what really got me kind of interested in this, or not interested, but what piqued my interest was a video. I don't know who it was that Destiny was debating. Woo! But I don't know who it was that Destiny was debating, but it was about the Palestinian and Israeli conflict, and Destiny was making some really dumb fuck points about Israel, obviously. I mean, so we'll pull up that clip real quick. Let me do this. Okay, so this clip was the clip that initially got me interested.
Your analysis of the failures is the Palestinians walked away, the Palestinians turned to violence, all they do is fight, right? This is a one-sided narrative.
It's true. Right? The inception of the Palestinian movement has been one of violence.
Already off the bat, Destiny pulling the fucking L's, like, right under, from right under the nose. Obviously, like, the Palestinians are, hold on. Again, it's been a little while. I'm a little out of practice, but I apologize.
The Palestinians walked away. The Palestinians turned to violence. All they do is fight. Right?
So immediately after, as this guy pointed out, Destiny's analysis failing. Destiny is portraying like the Palestinians as these just naturally inherently violent people, or like, I guess that like the Palestinian movement against Israel is one rooted in violence, which all things are pretty much rooted in violence. You have to keep that in mind. But it's also important to remember that it wasn't Palestine that started this conflict. It wasn't the Palestinians. It was Israel. It's always been Israel from the very inception of this conflict. Israel slowly taking over lands, killing off the Palestinians, slaughtering them, raping, whatever, doing what they do.
This is a one-sided narrative.
It's true. Right? The inception of the Palestinian movement has been one of violence. The PLO
Destiny
started
casually spouting fucking Israeli narrative propaganda
since their inception.
Both parties here are violent parties.
Yes, but only one has been forced to contend with political realities on the ground, and that's Israel.
Yeah, okay, obviously that's a fucking dumb fuck take from Destiny, I'm pretty sure the Palestinians are having to contend with the political realities of the, Western world and other civilized, I don't know if I called Russia fucking civilized at this point, but, just like more developed worlds, kind of turning a blind eye towards the Palestinian conflict and not making any actual meaningful moves to alleviate the humanitarian crisis that's taking place there. Like, to sit here and to say that the Palestinians aren't having to contend with the political realities on the ground is just fucking really stupid. What's the political realities that Israel has to fucking contend with? That they're being completely unfettered in their genocide of the Palestinians, and the only time they've ever had to back off is when they fucking drone struck the World Kitchen aid workers, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's a no-no." So that's like the only thing that they've been forced to back off of, really, so far. Like, what's the political reality for Israel, that they're getting away with everything? You know, or I guess they're not really getting away from with everything. Their propaganda has been progressively failing to indoctrinate people or bring in new. I guess new blood to their movement. You know, that's the political reality of Israel.
That's why
suppose,
Israel, you can say they're violent, but they formed peace with partners that they thought they never would form peace with.
That's also really funny. Israel is actively exacerbating all of the conflict in the Middle East right now, so it's really funny of Destiny to say that.
Zionism is ultimately a movement based on conquest and dispossession.
And Islam isn't? What's a caliphate? What was the Ottoman Empire?
I'm not denying the violence of the Ottoman Empire. Why would I? Why would
we talk about the intrinsic territorial conquest nature of Zionism when Zionists, Israel, have given back land and territory to other countries, but then ignore it? There's no reason.
It's so fucking stupid. It's brain dead. Israel is actively seizing as much land around them as they could, and the only reason that they've been stopped from escalating their bid for land, their desire for conquest, has been, well, I mean, really just like imposition from the U.S. You know, trying to you know, keep them from turning their fucking you know, blood frenzy onto the other countries around them, which they're working on. You know, I haven't looked into it much so far, but like from what I remember seeing, Israel carried out some drone strikes on Iranian territory recently. Well, they also missile struck the what was it called? It was a branch of the Iranian embassy or something like that. So yeah, they're like actively exacerbating any and all political tensions within the Middle East right now. So that's it's funny of them to say.
That we're talking about.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to say that
You're describing one side as using violence to achieve its goals.
Yes.
Right? But
correct.
You are ignoring all of the violence on the other side.
Because I think that the Israeli side.
That's precisely what happens in the Israeli
because
the guy on top is obviously correct. You know, Destiny is doing what the Israeli government really wants them to do, which is ignore anything and everything that they're doing, you know, and then post hoc make justifications for why Israel is doing what it's doing. So there's really no limit to what Israel can do. Destiny and people like him are going to continuously disregard their, you know, the human, just the the violations of human rights, you know, the humanitarian crisis they're inflicting, the genocide, so on and so forth. Destiny will constantly disregard that and defend Israel, no matter how far they go, you know. And this is just, he has been on a bit of I want to say, like, from what I understand, like an anti-Arab, anti-Muslim bent lately. And, you know, like I said, he was getting razzed on a little bit on Twitter because part of that might be motivated by the fact that there was this Arab guy that his wife liked to, because like I said, they're open, and Destiny has done cuck stuff before, but there's this particular Arab guy that his wife took a liking to, and they cucked Destiny for several days. So from what I hear, again, it's just clips, a lot of it's just hearsay, that might have been a potential motivation, which is really fucking pathetic. And it really comes back to, like, just the sexual insecurity that is so intrinsically rooted to reactionary behavior, like this, for example.
Sidesing you're doing right now.
They're doing sidesing.
Backlash, and then you say, and you only look at the backlash.
Did Israel accept the? Wait, hold on. Well, let's just cycle
one side of the cycle of violence.
In 36, did Israel accept the Peel Commission that partition
is
necessary? The land would need to be split.
Yeah, with, by the way, a provision to kick a bunch of the Arabs out of the proposed partition.
Because the Brits had said that it seemed like it was an unworkable thing, right?
Well, there you go, right? It would have involved violence.
It would have involved transfer of people off of property, not necessarily violence.
Is not the forceful transfer of people off of property or land, is that not violence? Anyway, my point still stands. So this was kind of like what I haven't done much more investigation since, but this kind of piqued my interest on Destiny, and what I'm interested in right now is because over the years Destiny has taken a more a slower descent into far right politics. He's been on with not Kanye. He's been on Alex Jones's show. He's been kind of buddy with Nick Fuentes. He's been getting nice and snuggly and cozy with a lot of far right political pundits recently, and he likes to hide behind, in my opinion, the idea of like, okay, you challenge them on their platforms, so that way you can get directly to their audience, and that way you can try to move the people in their audience over. At least the people who are willing to be moved over. But the reality of it is, at least in my opinion, and I won't say this about every instance, just because you platform a Nazi doesn't, or not a Nazi, well, Nazis, or just because you platform far right people doesn't mean that it's not a in inherent or implicit condoning of their beliefs. Sometimes bringing Nazis on or far right political pundits, or just your opponents in general, sometimes bringing them onto your platforms and going onto their platforms is beneficial. It can be done correctly, but in Destiny's case, to me, it's been seeming more and more like he's just falling into the grift. He's realizing that he can get a lot of views. He was realizing he can get a lot of money off of this thing, and that his positions are being kind of disingenuously posed more and more as time goes on, as he falls further and further into the grift, of course.
They are not.
To me, so I've been kind of going back. What I want to do is kind of look at how Destiny argues the points he makes. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything. He does have a base of knowledge that I don't, just because he's been doing this for so long. And I just haven't, so I haven't done the degree of research that he has, but I just want to see, I want to watch how he argues. I want to watch how he does his analysis and takes people's, points apart, and how he considers them, especially when it comes to especially with Candace Owens, especially with this instance. I don't think someone like Candace Owens is, I think it's a perfect situation. Candace Owens is not someone that you need to do research to debate against, or to challenge the legitimacy of her ideas, because she is just like every other conservative. Her beliefs, her arguments, her ideologies aren't propped up by, they aren't propped up by like evidence. They aren't propped up by logical argument, or they aren't propped up by anything material or impactful. What they're propped up by it's propped up by, how do I put this? Their beliefs are propped up first and foremost by intuition and reaction. They don't think about what they actually believe. It's more about alleviating the insecurities that they feel internally, it's more about alleviating alleviating could be a good term, but it's more about alleviating their internal knee-jerk reactions, their reactive fears, hatreds, things like that. That's what their politics are propped up by. Of course, like, greed plays into that, the grift, their motivation for that plays into that, but that's mainly what conservatives are propped up by, not any actual legitimate grounded principled argument or anything like that. So I think this would be a very good situation to best demonstrate how Destiny goes about his analysis, and how he brings back his arguments, and how he props up what he says, is because this is a situation where research isn't really necessary, so even the layman can provide some sort of analysis. So that's what I wanted to do today, to kind of get back into the swing of things, is just do this, see how Destiny, especially as someone who's not really actively consumed any of his content, kind of makes these arguments, because for a long time he has been a bit of a titan in the terms of like the debate sphere, or like in political influence in terms of content creators and live streamers and stuff like that. So without further ado, we'll just get right into it.
the most literate.
You think people that graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that if I wanted to see like?
You got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Like, I'm happy to.
Not true.
What do you mean it's not true? And I'm gonna.
Okay, right off the.
Get
to the preview.
Hold on, I'm sorry, because I've done a lot of research on college degrees, and a lot of research on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. When you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at
Diego, are you still there?
You just convert to people that even have some college education. All of it
is me going to school.
All of it. That's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data.
Oh my God, how long is this fucking preview?
Earning college degree earners.
Every single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to college for?
Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean? You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. What are you doing here? What's going on?
I just did PBD, Patrick Bet David. Mm-hmm. They know you over there, right? Are you laughing?
Maybe. I know. I'm good. Do you know Adam over there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just asked Adam. He was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, I know Adam. Me and Adam are cool. I'm not as much sure about the PBD guy. I'm pretty. I'm a pretty far left guy, and I disagree with a lot of stuff they say in a pretty crazy way. So.
That's an interesting statement coming from Destiny. I don't think you're all that far left these days, buddy.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, but when we bring on left guys, it's usually to roast the fuck out of them. So.
No, that's not what happened at all.
Oh, that might not have happened this time. That's what I've seen. When I had Anthony Weiner on, it was that. When I've seen other left-leaning guys go on, it's usually like a rake him over the coals.
Well, one of them is on the left, right?
Which guy?
So, I really thought that Adam just said I've never voted for a Republican.
Okay, so like I said right off the bat, I don't think it's necessarily wrong to bring bigots or Nazis or political pundits or anything onto your platforms. But at the same time, you need to make sure you do that responsibly because, I mean, we'll see how this goes. But Candace Owens, more so than a lot of them, she's in the public eye right now for just being like a straight fucking Nazi and spewing Nazi rhetoric and propaganda. So, like, you have to be careful when it comes to people like this. You know, if you go under if you go under any of the into the replies under any of her tweets, you will just see people like. Nazi posting about like, oh, the Jews are, you know, the blood libel shit, you know, saying here that she tweeted recently that to Ben Shapiro, like, are you drunk on the blood of Christian blood again or some shit like that. So like you have to be careful with people like this.
I think Adam is fair. Yeah. I think Adam is fair generally from what
and to be fair, I don't think Destiny practices that caution
but I mean, like, Adam's
at all.
Pretty like he's like a I just don't think he's behind all the Trump stuff.
But why laugh if I'm like, I just went Patrick Bet David? It's like, haha, like what's that?
Oh, sorry. In my world,
she's so insecure.
There's always like a lot of
she's
drama, people hitting each other.
But we're not here for.
I'm not sure if those guys hate me or not. I've been on their show once. They seem like cool people, but the Patrick guy has said kind of weird things about me or my fan base before. So
I don't know about any of these people. That's what I'm saying. I gotta get more involved.
Okay. No, I was just curious. I was like, because you would go on a platform with someone on the right, presumably.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because you said because I'm on the left when I asked you, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, why we need more conversations. It doesn't need to be, I'm on the left, I'm on the right. It's like, what do you actually think? You know, what do you actually believe?
Sure, I agree for sure. Yeah. What are you talking about mainly? Over the past week or two, what's the stuff that's captured your attention, your eyes the most?
It was definitely taking a minute to pick up.
I mean, obviously, I think the biggest topic for me has been the Diddy lawsuit. It's the craziest thing that's come out.
Okay, I honestly can't imagine what Candace Owens would say about the Diddy lawsuit, just because, like, how do I put this? You know, the Diddy, I don't know that much about the Diddy stuff, but as far as I'm aware, Diddy is pretty solidly convicted at this point, you know, allegedly convicted of like sex trafficking, children, young minors, you know, things like that. I'm curious what Candace Owens would have to say about this that doesn't somehow like link to minority groups. You know, Diddy is, as far as I'm aware, he's black. I think. Let me see. I think P Diddy is black. Ooh, that's the wrong thing. Okay, no, we'll see another time. But yeah, I'm pretty sure P. Diddy is black, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like she would be linking it to anything and everything, you know, to accuse the group she doesn't like of being pedophiles or what have you.
Since Jeffrey Epstein. And it's definitely significant because a lot of the work that I do is talking about just or I guess really asking the question is what's happened to Black culture, because this is not the Black culture that I grew up with. And
Okay, what she means by Black culture, what she thinks of when she says Black culture is like thug culture, like, you know, the bandanas, the slack pants, the graffiti, the trashy streets, the rundown homes. That's what she thinks of Black culture. Don't ever let her fucking try and convince you that she means anything. Candace Owens, a proper Black person is someone who is effectively white, and there's nothing wrong with a Black person growing up with like the mannerisms and social conditioning and whatnot of like what you would consider of a white family, but she means it in a racist sense. That's what she thinks of a Black culture.
Diddy lawsuit potentially answers a lot of those questions. So
Do you say where you grew up?
I was born in White Plains, New York, and I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't
What
care
can you
about
catch
Candace
us on
Owens
the
though.
Diddy lawsuit? I haven't been in this area
What?
as much.
Are you kidding?
My mind has been, I've done Israel,
Okay.
Palestine.
Why
for
would
4 years,
Why would
4 months,
Destiny?
like,
Okay,
a
so
bunch of
Destiny
rental
should know
stuff.
better than
Yeah.
to take anything that Candace Owens says about the P Diddy lawsuit.
You can go over to my YouTube channel. I've been covering it. And if you're there, definitely subscribe. But, so essentially, at the end of last year, Diddy was dating that girl Cassie for a long time, about 10 years.
Okay.
And she started making allegations that Diddy was very into some very sexually deviant things, what I would say.
What does she mean by sexually deviant?
Forced her to do things against her will, or drugs, whatever. She files this lawsuit, and basically overnight, I'm obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but he pays her off, so it ends. And then Cat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024, and then a producer whose name is Rodney.
I don't care.
drops
I
a
don't care about
lawsuit
this. I don't
in,
care.
Like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Got-
But not in the way that it should be covered. Disgusting artist, just in terms of
their communities, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh.
And then on the other side, it feels like from like worldwide popular, like the
Okay, like I said, I'm not here to analyze
that going forward, coming away from
Destiny or Candace Owens.
like the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, right?
yeah.
Um,
But hip hop isn't always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
but that seems like
we're
the general.
generalizing.
Yeah. It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances, and you can see, especially as America and the Black communities became more conscientious, maybe of the ghettos that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect the.
Hold on.
His face was inside of her butt cheeks. That to me is very intentional, because in terms of the stuff that she publishes and the photos that she publishes, named Sexy Red, who they're now making a thing, right?
Oh my
Who makes the
god.
decision to sign a Sexy Red? You're telling me you have all the money and all the talent at your fingertips, and you sign a woman who, at her baby shower, 9 months pregnant, however pregnant she was twerking and had her butt cheeks in, like, somebody's face was inside of her butt cheeks. That to me is very intentional, because you're not signing her based on talent. You're not just signing her based on following. You're signing her because it's filth. And you're
Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. So Candace Owens equivocating, like twerking or whatever as filth. She can say, yeah. Okay. That one was expected. Any slight perceived deviancy from like what she considers the social norm is going to be immediately categorized as filth or degeneracy. I know I skipped around, but she's already talking about, a woman being signed on not because she has any talent, but because she shakes her fat around or whatever. Listen, does that happen? Do people definitely get signed up just because, they're conventionally attractive or whatever, not because their talent is, not because they're necessarily talented or whatever? Yes, of course that happens, but that's not the point here. Candace Owens just wants an excuse to call this woman a filth because she was twerking.
This filth into my community. So it's just something that I've noticed, something that I talk about often, that we're intentionally being sold crack, it feels like,
So
disingenuously weaponizing the actual legitimate crisis that occurred within largely Black communities when the fucking CIA literally was just giving them fucking crack, fed them in the communities, a deliberate effort to fucking get them hooked and bring down Black communities and further inhibit them.
direction I want to go.
Any direction you want. I'm an open book.
Yeah, you're fine. There are okay. So there are like two kind of different ways of viewing this. And I feel like you fall more to one side, and then I'll go my side, and then we can kind of see if we can iron out or figure where we are at. I guess in the middle here.
Okay, here's okay. Again, I'm gonna be. I apologize for pausing so much, but here's the issue I have. Destiny, again, like I've said before, when it comes to platforming or going on the platforms of these people, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It comes down to how you handle it, you know, if you're responsible with it, so on and so forth. However, there's an issue here. You have to reconcile the fact that when you're discussing matters like this, Destiny's goal, it seems, is to try to achieve some sort of middle ground. At least that's the way I perceive how he's phrased it here. You have to understand that when it comes to people like Candace Owens, when it comes to a lot of people who are conservative or far right, what have you, there is meeting them at the middle is just not acceptable, because to kind of boil it down to a very simplistic example of it, you're arguing with a conservative, someone like Candace Owens, as someone who is perhaps more progressive. You have these two people, you know, you have the conservative side, which is arguing, well, I want to kill 100 black people. And then you have the left side, or the more progressive person, who goes, okay, I want to kill 0 black people. The medium here, the middle, that Destiny seems to be looking for is, okay, how about we meet in the middle and we only kill 50 black people? Is that really acceptable? I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still 50 less dead black people. But is that really acceptable? You have to understand that sometimes the middle ground isn't worth settling for. It's not even fighting for it. It's settling for it. Sometimes the middle ground should be aimed for purely because it allows you to kind of move the current paradigm forward, so that way you can come closer to the desired end result. But when it comes to that, it's just like the middle, you can't argue the middle ground. They don't want the middle ground, first and foremost, but second of all, well, actually they'll settle for the middle ground because they still get the 50 dead people, the 50 dead black people. They'll settle for the middle ground without an issue. They'll still be begrudging about it, and in the end they'll still want that extra 100, the extra 50 black people dead, but they're willing to settle for it because they get their way. In no conceivable manner will the progressive person get their way. They wanted 0 dead black people, which, I'm sorry, I was going to say infinitely more valuable than any dead black people, but you end up with 50 dead black people, which is still too many dead black people. Again, it's simplistic, but I feel like my point demonstrates
I
itself.
feel like when you look at the evolution of, when we say like degenerate black culture or degenerate black music, I think we're generally talking about like the beginning of hip hop and rap, and then kind of the evolution of that going forward, coming away from like the R&B singers and everybody like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna let him
But
make
hip
his
hop isn't
argument.
always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
But that seems like the
Okay, but okay. So with that statement, I'm just gonna impugn all of them. Fuck them. I don't like either of them. But here's the point: is like, what does she mean by filth? What makes current rap or the beginning rap or middle rap or hip hop or whatever? What makes it filth? What about it is filthy? Is it, you know? I personally don't listen to the stuff most of the time, but like, talking about like the drugs, the money, the bitches, things like that, is that why do you consider that filth? You know what I mean? She considers it filth because, again, it's a degeneracy, deviation from the perceived norm. That's, you know, but yeah, what, you know.
It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances. And you can see, especially as America and the black communities became more conscientious maybe of the ghettos that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, and then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got two really big, in my opinion, I went to school for music. I don't know if you talk about the saxophone or whatever. So we got two really big contributions to the world of music from America. One was jazz, that came basically from the black community, and then the second was like rap and hip hop. these forms of music become popular.
Basic.
People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to kind of continue to push this because it's popular, and everybody around the world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because, well, for whatever reason, that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side, it feels like from people,
Okay, hold
I
on.
just say conservatives, but I would say broadly speaking, the music from oftentimes the music is a reflection.
Hold
I
on.
feel like when you look at the evolution of, when we say like degenerate black culture or degenerate black music, I think we're generally talking about like the beginning of hip hop and rap, and then kind of the evolution of that going forward.
Okay, I understand that he's trying to explain what it's meant by like the idea of like degenerate rap music or black culture or whatever, but I immediately reject the idea of calling it degenerate. And the fact that Destiny doesn't is really frustrating. They aren't degenerate because they're poor. They're not degenerate because they're in slums or whatever. That's a product of like their socioeconomic circumstances. It's not. They aren't. You know, that's not. Framing it as degenerate even to, I don't know, I feel like framing it as degenerate even to achieve understanding, it doesn't do any good. In fact, I feel like it impedes it, because you can still form the same basic analysis without framing it through the perspective of degeneracy. Instead, you can frame it for the perspective of like class struggle or things like that. I feel like just already accepting the idea of it being degenerate is a failure of analysis.
Forward, coming away from like the R&B singers and everybody like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or whatever, right?
Yeah. But hip hop isn't always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
But that seems like
we're
the general.
generalizing.
It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances, and you can see.
Yes, of course. Music art is frequently a reflection of the artist's
ghettos that they've been
or
pushed into,
the artist's
or policing
circumstances, or
situations that they've had
the
to
circumstances
be a
of the
part
subject.
or
But
drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got two.
Okay, I just want to say that I think as far as like the popularity of like rap, of jazz, hip hop, even rock, because rock was also originally I guess invented, I want to say, by black people. I think I want to say that the appeal of it isn't the appeal of degeneracy or to a person's desire to express their degeneracy or their deviancy, whatever. I think the reason that it's popular is because a lot of the times it's far more genuine than what is. It's just a more genuine experience which these musicians, artists, and so on portray and depict. I think that's the key thing here. Is it's just a more realistic, or it's just an experience that people can connect to better. It's more expressive. It's more personalized, and I think that's why it has become so popular. And and I'm not saying that like white people or whatever can't. White people, brown people, whatever, can't express those same experiences in different forms of music. But, if you look at, I feel like if you look at, how do I put this? I feel like if you look at music, or I guess we're talking specifically about music in this instance, you look at the experiences portrayed in music typically associated with like white musicians and stuff. They talk about experiences which are far more generalized, which is another valid way of producing art. But the experiences that are far more generalized and experiences which are just easier to relate to. They're not as personal. They're not as I guess individualized or whatever. And I'm not saying that that's, like I said, it's not an invalid way of approaching the music and what you decide to incorporate in terms of themes or messaging, whatever, of your art. But I just feel like when it comes to music produced like that has its cultural origins and its roots and whatnot in black culture, I feel like it just portrays more genuine experience You know, of course, like Destiny is talking about with poverty, with like drug addiction issues, just like the, you know, the issues that black people face in terms of policing and whatnot. You know, I feel like those are just more genuine experiences. Which is why it just kind of popped off and became literally some of the most popular music on earth, even internationally. You know what I mean? So I think especially, you know, the perspective of like calling that degenerate is especially egregious and awful.
Really big, in my opinion. I went to school for music. I don't know if you talk about the saxophone or whatever. So we had two really big contributions to the world of music from America. One was jazz, that came basically from the black community, and then the second was like rap and hip hop. These forms of music become popular. People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously,
Diego, are you still there?
Top,
Could you type in chat if you are?
It's popular, and everybody around the world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because, well, for whatever reason, that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side, it feels like from people, I don't want to just say conservatives, but I would say broadly speaking, I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's
okay. Can you hear the video?
Intentional or like malevolent force working.
I just want to make sure the audio is coming through correctly.
I'm going to push back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. That's completely not true. Okay.
Already, I'm gonna let her finish, but already it's fucking. She's going into. Already she's. Okay. Why are you all caps, bro? Huh? Thank you for watching, Diego. I'm sorry if I'm boring.
That black people are living in.
Okay, hold on.
Back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. That's completely not true. Okay,
already she's rejecting the idea that like these stories, these stories being conveyed as experiences of the community and whatnot are. She's already saying that they're essentially being expressed improperly because she views their form of expression as indecent, as deviant, degenerate, you know, whatever you want to call it. I'm sorry, I lose my train of thought so easily. But yeah, she's already saying that the rap, hip hop, so on and so forth, is to be discarded because she sees it as an improper form of expression of experience. This really ties back to like just like reactionaries, fascists, not whatever, view on art as being objective rather than subjective, because art is always and has always and always will be subjective. There is no objective measure of art. But she, again, it ties into because, you know what, I'm comfortable calling Candace Owen a Nazi, 100% comfortable saying that, but it does tie into like a Nazi's view as like art is objective, you know, it falls within certain lines which can be measured, you know, and anything outside of that is viewed as deviant, and so therefore it's unacceptable. So already she's getting immediately into that.
The circumstances that black people are living in, you know, singing about your vagina and how hard it's getting pounded is not the circumstance of living in the hood. I come from nothing. It's not that did not make me feel closer to the circumstances that I grew up in.
I'm curious to see how Destiny will respond to this, because
people are telling black Americans, like, actually it's working the other way. You're putting something, you know, your eyes and your ears are the windows to the soul, and you're basically, when you celebrate someone, and I'm using Cardi B.
Okay, so she's saying that these forms of expression of experience are essentially encouraging these the perpetuation of the experience. So essentially, like, rap music that talks about fucking bitches, getting money, and doing drugs is perpetuating the desire within the black community to fuck bitches, get money, and do drugs. This is not true. This is not the circumstance. What you listen to, what art you take in, doesn't necessarily have to do with what you believe or what you know, how you act or whatever. You know, I can sit here, I can literally listen to every day for the rest of my life music that talks about nothing but doing cocaine. Like, I could do that, and I could never do cocaine ever. There's no real correlation, you know. Art obviously does influence us, our behaviors, our perspectives, our views of the world, you know. But it's also important to recognize that people can maintain a line of real action and appropriate behavior between, like, what art they take in, you know.
Be here as an example because I think people are probably more familiar with her than they are with Sexy Red. When you put someone like that on the Grammys stage, which is again a decision being made. When I was growing up, the best.
She's about to make the argument that by normalizing this, you lead to a degeneracy of broader culture and society, and that therefore this is why we should be banning videos and art and whatnot depicting people shaking their asses and whatnot.
Most talented people were
She's
on the
about to
Grammy
do
stage.
that.
It was something you could watch with your family. And you still had poor people.
Time
You
of this
still
time
had,
is a bit-
yeah.
Okay, go.
You still had poor people. You still had people that were living in the hood. Okay, we didn't need somebody talking about their vagina in order to feel seen. So what you're doing.
I want to pause and say real quick, I'm really fucking sick and tired of like this attitude of like prissiness and prudeness towards like sex. I'm sorry if you're insecure about talking about it, or if you are too much of a child or too much of a prude to deal with people talking about their sex, their sexual experiences, their desire for sex, their enjoyment of it. I'm sorry. But I'm fucking sick of that. I'm sick of that attitude towards media these days. You know, you got shows and you got TV shows, you got fucking movies, you got video games and stuff that are starting to have sex and like sexual content and whatnot in them more and more. I'm not saying everything needs it, but I really am sick and tired of people just getting so prudish and insecure about talking about it because it makes them uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but art does not limit itself based on what makes you uncomfortable. And in fact, most of the time, art is meant explicitly to make you uncomfortable, as to invite introspection and personal, and reflection, okay? So, I'm sorry. Get over yourself. Fucking cope, okay? Cope. Mauled.
Is you're setting
Seethe.
the stage for younger girls who aspire to celebrities to say, okay, well, if I mimic that behavior, I too can become famous. Which you're actually
Here she
doing is
comes.
You're
Here she
setting
goes.
the idols that people are going to look up to, and people are going to think this is what I should aspire to. So it's actually working in the exact opposite way.
Can I ask a
And-
question?
Okay, our role, is it important for role models to maintain us? How do I put this? I don't know. I feel like people people set role models for themselves in really weird ways. Everybody has different preferences for what they're trying to aim for. I don't know. I mean, as a role model, do you have a responsibility to like be careful of the messages you convey and how you compose yourself and stuff? Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God.
In that like evolution of things. So if we look at like WAP in particular, hasn't it generally been the case that music is always kind of pushing these sexual boundaries? So
Yeah, because it's progressive.
Art
Is music, or music is art, and art is progressive.
Dancing is incredibly suggestive. If you've seen that, it might have been in Woodstock, all the loser hippies talking about love, sex, and rock and roll and drugs. Wouldn't like WAP just be kind of like the next evolution in a long chain of
pushing
Yes.
boundaries is not degeneracy, okay? And so here's what I'll say to you. Why don't you pull up the lyrics?
Okay, to
WAP
her,
and
yes,
read
it
them
is.
right
She
now.
does believe that pushing boundaries is
Why would I
degeneracy.
No, it's just Woodstock. We're just pushing the boundaries a little bit. You probably have never even read the lyrics to WAP.
I think I did because I think Ben Shapiro had a
No,
huge thing about
he
it.
couldn't have said. You may have seen him reading the sanitized version of WAP, not the one that is not sanitized.
Oh my God.
The sanitized one, which is still bad, that she can perform at the Grammys, is what he read. You should read the lyrics to WAP.
Okay, this doesn't discredit the legitimacy of the song as art at all, just because the lyrics are risky or sexualized or whatever. Again, get over yourself.
Before
Stop
you make
fucking.
commentary that it's a
Stop
revolt
being a 12-year-old who's grossed out by the word, like, who's grossed out by cooties or thinks that kissing is gross. Like, come on, fucking grow up. We're all adults.
of what Black Americans are living through, or it's just somebody that's pushing a boundary. It's not that.
How do you explain the fact that like WAP was like a #1 like worldwide hit? Then?
Because what I said to you is that they are artificially creating artists at this point. There's no question. And by the way,
Okay, that's really stupid. I know I'm here to fucking analyze Destiny's. Maybe this wasn't the best way of doing this, but whatever. I'm having fun. Regardless, fuck. You know what?
Diddy Docs, which I found to be a very compelling art.
#1 like worldwide hit. Then.
Because what I said to you is
Oh yeah, no, they're not artificially making artists. There is like music is much more formalized these days. I do agree with that. You know, a lot of pop songs in particular kind of sound samey, follow a lot of the same beats, you know, a lot of the same structure, but you know, there's still, even within that structure, there's still room for innovation and creativity. They're not artificially creating artists, you know. They're just I don't even know what she means by that. I genuinely
that
don't
they
know.
are artificially creating artists at this point. There's no question. And by the way, the Diddy docs, which I found to be a very compelling point.
Okay, yeah. What she's about to do is she's about to use the Diddy docs, the Diddy situation as an example to extrapolate that. All artists these days, all modern artists, as she's going to put it, or artists associated with the same groups as like, Diddy, like Snoop Dogg or whatever. Not saying that they're exactly the same or whatever, but she's going to use that as an example to extrapolate that all these people are degenerates, pedophiles, so on and so forth.
Was that Diddy said to the guy, allegedly, who was the producer, that if he was willing to engage in homosexual behavior with him, that he would get him Producer of the Year Grammy.
Okay, if that's true, if favors are being exchanged for sexual, or if things are, how do I put this? If you're exchanging sexual favors for favors as like a power play or whatever over the people that you have greater influence over, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. But her problem there isn't the abuse of power, the exploitation of the power dynamic. Her issue is with the homophobic, or with the homosexual element of it. Which I'm not saying this literally happened, because I take anything and everything Candace Owens says with a fucking pillar of salt. Okay, it's like the fucking Bible in here. All right, my dog gets turned into a pillar of salt, and then that's what I take in order to deal with whatever Candace Owens says. So. That's what I'm saying. Again, with like Destiny even talking to her in the first place, like she lies actively, constantly lies in order to push her agenda, her propaganda. So like even bringing her on here, there's a massive difference. Okay, there's a massive difference between, as someone who's seemingly progressive, as Destiny likes to front himself as, there's a major difference between someone like that debating someone like Candace, who's a grifter, who really only does what she does and says what she says in order to get famous, in order to get clicks, in order to make money, and him debating someone who is genuinely ideologically, principally in favor of like the Nazi beliefs, in favor of like ethno-states and so on. There's a major difference because Candace Owens doesn't care about what she says. She doesn't care about what she says she believes or what she does. She doesn't care. As long as it makes her money, as long as it benefits her in the end, that's all she cares about. There's a major difference between debating someone like that, because you can never get anywhere with someone like that, and debating someone who genuinely has like a committed principled belief in these things, because then you can actually talk to them, you can actually have a discussion with them, and even possibly move them over on the things that they believe. Even if it's not an immediate, which it pretty much never is, and it takes time, you can still have a genuine conversation with them. Now, don't get me wrong, even with people who do have that genuine belief, sometimes their ideas are just so disgusting that you have to leave them out of your, out of your platform, or out of whatever. But there is that major difference. So again, Candace Owens, someone who doesn't care about bringing her on, doesn't really actually do anything other than make Destiny get more clicks and stuff, and generate revenue and views.
That the entire system is artificial. And by the way, this is something that Kanye said 10 years ago, or however long ago it was, when he took the trophy from Taylor Swift and said, like, this is all fake. This is not even based on
anymore. All right. Well, using Kanye as a way to prop up your arguments is not exactly the smartest thing to do.
Ideas. So it is, who do we want to artificially make the person that every black girl will look up to? Or
okay, so I also want to just say, like, Destiny's not even pushing back on this at all. Like, literally no pushback from Destiny in any way, shape, or form. He'll probably will, but like, he should have been interrupting Candace Owens left and right. He should not be giving her any respect or deference to any of the arguments that she's wanting to make. This looks like it was this is like an hour-long debate. It should have been like 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes should have been it should have been nothing but a 30 minutes of Destiny constantly interrupting Candace Owens to tell her how she's wrong. Her getting ass mad because he keeps fucking he keeps just blowing out all of her points, and then her leaving because she gets so ass mad. That's what this should be. But because Destiny is more concerned with, he's more concerned with the views that this particular come together can generate, he's going to sit there and he's going to let her say whatever the fuck she wants with minimal pushback.
So I can definitely understand that, like, maybe award shows can be rigged, or people can think different things about, who's being awarded based on merits for the Grammys or something like that. But like WAP was genuinely, do you think it wasn't genuinely a popular song, or do you think that music execs have the ability to manufacture that desire publicly?
The latter. So if you start playing something tons of times on the airways, and the latter, you can definitely make something popular. There are songs that I don't even like, that I've heard so much that I know every single lyric to, and I'm like, I don't even know how I know every single lyric to this song, but it's received this many plays. You put it everywhere. You award the person. You invite them to bizarre circumstances.
Okay, that's not artificially creating art. That's not artificially creating artists. That's not. Is it maybe artificially inflating the channels by which that song is pushed out? Yes, maybe, but like that is not an artificial creation of an artist. And also, like, some songs you may not like, but some songs that you don't like are catchy. You know, there are a lot of songs that I don't like that I get stuck in my head, and I know they are every lyric to, because they play so often. But you also have to keep in mind that, like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean other people don't like it. I mean, if it's popular for a reason. It's not, most of the time at least, it's popular for a reason. It's not going to be just pushed out artificially for just to make an artist big for whatever reason, for no reason. You also have to keep in mind, like, the channels of proliferation that just art in general has these days is, immeasurably larger than what we used to have, back in the day. Back in the day, music videos literally just did not exist back in the day. You had the albums, you had the song, you had the tracks, you had radio, and that was pretty much it, okay? That was pretty much all you had. Maybe on a TV show, if you were, maybe on a TV show there would be like songs, like backtracking and things like that, but it is incomparable the degree to which art can be pushed these days versus in the past. These days you may run into a song that you might not necessarily like, that every lyric to, because it's not just a matter of like hearing it on the radio and you go, okay, I can turn the radio off. You could hear it in ads, you could hear it in TV shows, movies, video games, you can hear it again over the radio, you can hear it in this, you can hear it on like SoundCloud, YouTube, you can hear it on Pandora, whatever else. So there's like a bajillion different ways for you to consume that art. And that's not people trying to artificially create artists. It's just there's more available channels for art to be pushed through these days. So
there's absolutely no reason that Cardi B is invited to sit down and ask questions.
I'm going to end up giving more pushback to Candace Owens in this than Destiny will.
Unless you are really making an effort to legitimize this person and to make this person aspirational. Again, this is not an insult to Cardi. I actually think that personality-wise, she's got a ton of talent and she's interesting, and I've said great things about her on Love and Hip Hop, and there are elements of her that make her a star. But what I am saying is that a lot of that is manufactured, and I just don't see how anybody, when looking.
Don't you think it's entirely possible or easily possible? So like I feel like there's like so many things wrong with this. So one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular that people want to hear? I think that would be a big question. The second thing would be, how can we explain the top-down domination of this type of media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok stuff, all of our YouTube videos, and the music industry? And then how can you explain that all happening worldwide?
Sure.
Like, it feels like that to try to explain this through people that are exercising control on these platforms would require more control than anybody has ever been able to exercise on any platform ever, and they're doing it like on a multi-country, multi-stage level. It's just called,
it's very easy actually. It's a very basic concept pertaining to governments. They need propaganda. Hollywood is propaganda.
Okay, hold on. We need to back up a little bit. Okay, hold on. Whoa.
Anybody when looking.
Don't you think it's entirely possible or easily possible? So like I feel like there's like so many things wrong with this. So one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular that people want to hear? I think that would be a big question. The second thing would be...
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm slow in the brain. Smoothest brain in the West.
Entirely possible or easily possible. So like I feel like there's like so many things wrong with this. So one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular that people want to hear? I think...
Okay, yeah, obviously, like, okay, obviously, if you have one record label who has a massively popular, artist that's blowing up, there's going to be competing record labels which will also try to inflate, or not inflate, but they will also try and push, their artists as much as possible. So obviously that's going to happen, there is a lot to be said about, like, it's a lot harder these days. I feel I could be wrong, but like there is something to say about like the already popular artists these days just having a massive like I don't want to say monopoly because monopoly may not be the best term, but I'm going to use it anyway because it suits the argument. But there is something to be said about like already popular famous artists being or having a like a monopolization or capitalization on attention that makes it harder for newer talent to be discovered. There is something to be said about that. There is a discussion to be had about that. And then, of course, like Destiny said, competing record labels are going to try to, increase the popularity on their respective artists, productions and stuff. But what's the second part here?
That would be a big question. The second thing would be, how can we explain the top-down domination of this type of media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok?
Top-down domination of... Wait, hold on.
I think that would be a big question.
How do we...
The second thing would be, how can we explain the top-down domination of this type of media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok stuff, all of our YouTube videos, and the music industry? And then how can you explain that all happening worldwide?
Sure.
Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, I feel like it's pretty easy to explain this. You have like social capital and like literal like monetary capital. You have wealth. Like a lot of the time, the dominating artists, whether that be actors or musicians or composers or what have you, a lot of the reason why they get dominant and stay dominant is because they consequentially, as a result of their popularity, a lot of the time they're going to have the financial ability to continuously fund they're going to have the financial ability to prop up and maintain their image, so to speak, their brand. And even if they're not particularly like wealthy in the literal sense of having money, they could still be socially wealthy. They could still have a lot of social cultural influence. That's pretty easy to explain. It's just the natural, or not the natural, but the it's just the consequences of like the what's the word? The coalescence, I guess, of social and financial capital, that's why they can perpetuate it so well. That's why they have such a dominating force on it, A lot of indie artists obviously aren't going to have millions and millions and millions of dollars to sink into, having production teams, choreographers, writers, stunt doubles, things like that, So it's really easy to explain that. Here's the thing, though, is Candace Owens is, well, she already said propaganda, Hollywood is propaganda. Well, what is Hollywood propped up by, or what's... Candace will probably allude to it, but she views all this as, like, it's propaganda funded, perpetuated by Jews in order to control the stock of the world, in order to manipulate things from the shadows. That's what she's going to say. Basically guaranteed. If she does, I'm curious to see how Destiny pushes back against it.
To try to explain this through people that...
Because the fact that he should already be... Destiny is not an idiot. Destiny is not unaware of Candace Owens or anything that she does. Him posing this question, he knows is a setup for her to just talk about the JQ. That's all. He should know that, and he should skip the questioning and immediately just go to persecuting her, I feel like. I mean, maybe he's just giving her a rope to hang herself with, but...
Controlling these platforms would require more control than anybody has ever been able to exercise on any platform ever, and they're doing it like on a multi-country, multi-stage level.
It's just called... It's very easy, actually. It's a very basic concept pertaining to governments. They need propaganda.
Who's they? They need propaganda.
Hollywood is propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
You should. For those...
Don't get me wrong, Hollywood just channels, the different avenues of like media production and whatnot can be used for propaganda, and often are. Television used for propaganda, radio used for propaganda, obviously, but like it's not... Art does not exist for the pure purpose of propaganda. And Hollywood, as horrible as it is, does produce art and is full of artists. And these people are not motivated, first and foremost, by putting out propaganda. It's very easy.
Watching this live, go listen to the conversation that Joe Rogan had with Cat Williams, where he talked about all of this. And he said, I know you think that you're being entertained. And this is somebody that comes from inside of the industry. and he starts talking about the Diddy stuff, the idea that in order to climb.
Okay, yeah, like I said, Candace Owens is just going to use the Diddy thing as a springboard for calling everyone in Hollywood or the music industry a pedophile.
You kind of have to engage in nefarious behavior, and how he was collecting all of this information, and he was speaking out about what was happening inside of the industry, and he said it is twofold. You might be being...
See, again, Destiny should be pushing back on her immediately. The fact that he didn't immediately cut her off as soon as she answered the question shows that he is not interested in actually challenging any of her ideas or arguments. He should have immediately recognized, called out, and cut off Candace Owens about her. Well, one, she's signaling for the Jewish question. She's implying that there is this invisible greater force, which is global in nature, which exercises control over outlets of media in order to produce propaganda, which allows to them to maintain a certain message to propagate and maintain their avenues of control, to keep the people ignorant and stupid and pliable and easily manipulated. He should have called her out immediately. And if he was engaging with this in any good faith and wasn't just a grift, he would have done that. He would have immediately identified that and fucking corrected her. But he didn't, because he's not interested in actually arguing with her on any of this.
What will entertain you? And a great...
Because, like, even his attitude, even his body language... I get, like, body language doesn't mean everything. He could be sitting there and genuinely in his own head engaging with this, but he even like his body language portrays like just a disinterest in actually challenging any of this. He's literally just bringing her on and giving her a platform to espouse her ideology without any actual challenges.
Circumstance in which he presented that as evidence of that is transgenderism, and he asked a question. Might be being entertained, but they are making decisions about what will entertain you. And a great circumstance in which he presented that as evidence of that is transgenderism.
Okay, all right. Right here, again, she is espousing her reactionary Nazi ideology, literally saying that this invisible global cabal is using Hollywood and adjacent media outlets as a way to push a message or an agenda of degeneracy in order to keep down the true honest moral character of the people.
And he asked hold on.
Okay.
He asked a question which should be answered. He said to Joe Rogan, and he laughed about it. He was like, a guy wears a dress on the red carpet, okay, and then the media tells you how great he wore the dress. And he was like, he said, tell me one situation where he didn't wear the dress wonderfully. When he didn't wear the dress in a way that was amazing. It's because they have all agreed that this is the narrative. And then he talked about the fact that the record executives also own the publications that are saying that something is amazing or something is not amazing. And that is just plain old-fashioned propaganda. So don't...
Oh my God. Why? Again, why is Destiny not pushing back on this? She's... Jesus. Like, this is what I mean. This is what I mean.
You don't necessarily need to detach...
Destiny is not providing any meaningful pushback against her, the things she's saying.
So, I understand Cat Williams has said this. I also understand that Cat Williams was at one point in his life addicted to crack, and I think he's famous for losing a fight to a high school kid. I think there's like...
Okay, hold on. okay, hold on. Right off the bat, addicted to crack and lost a fight to a high school kid. These are not meaningful, like... impugnings to a person's arguments, like in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, it's just like Destiny isn't actually even fucking arguing against her and the things that she's saying. He's just like kind of passively listening to her and offering, like, he's just teeing her up, dude. Just giving her the perfect questions for her to espouse her fucking Nazi ideology, her Nazi rhetoric. It's insane.
Benched his career for a while.
Okay, you can insult him, but that doesn't...
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that I don't know...
2 + 2 = 4, 2 + 2 = 4.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that to like lean into his testimony, who also we would both acknowledge has a lot to gain by giving like incredulous testimony like this, like saying like, oh my God, these crazy things are happening, right? I don't know if I would just say, well, right, he does. The fact that you're talking about him and you're citing him and you know it, right? If anybody else was saying a similar thing...
I've been streaming for an hour and we're really not even 20 minutes into the video. Oh my God.
This is going to be a hot take, and he knows that it's going to go viral if he says it, and he knows he's going to get a lot of eyes on him for it. So I think it's good to call that into question. I think the issue that I have when it comes to the the accusation that everything is some top-down level propaganda is, I feel like the conversation shifts away from the important stuff, which is why are people attracted to this type of stuff? Why do people vibe with it so much? Why are we replacing traditional, better forms of media or more thought-provoking, I don't know what you would call it, forms of media, with this type of stuff? Instead of having conversations about the culture and the society, it's all fixated on some weird top-down plot to like
Okay.
control media consumption.
I think you just like to be contrarian because I don't.
Okay, hold on. Whoa. All right, hold on. First off, we're gonna back up to what
It's good to call that into question. I think the issue that I have when it comes to the accusation that everything is some top-down level propaganda is, I feel like the conversation shifts away from the important stuff, which is why are people attracted to this type of stuff? Why do people vibe with it so much? Why are we replacing traditional, better forms of media or more thought-provoking, I don't know what you would call it.
Okay, that right there, I don't like necessarily. This is very nitpicky, but I don't like, again, I don't like the framing of like, oh, we're moving away from traditional or better, or like he said, I don't like the framing of like we're moving away from traditional, better forms of media to that are more thought-provoking to what we have now. Just because it's traditional, just because like there's older forms of media or whatever, does not inherently make them more thought-provoking or introspective or reflective in any way, shape, or form. Destiny's kind of playing into the idea that the subject matter of the art, things, you know, from things like rap or hip hop or whatever, is somehow less thought-provoking, less, you know, like I said, introspective. I like those words. I feel like they're very accurate, but it's just poor framing. But
Forms of media with this type of stuff, instead of
overall, what Destiny was saying here is fair. Like he is correctly identifying that when she frames it, like when Candace Owens makes the argument the way she is, she's moving the focus of the conversation away from like, you know, proper analysis of like media, how it's transformed over the years, the different forms it's taken, all the different avenues that it's you know, propagated through, and shifting it towards like this conspiracy of like a global cabal which controls things through the shadows and uses all forms of media as a propaganda, blah blah blah.
Top-down plot to like control media consumption.
I think you just like to be contrarian.
I think that's the first thing Candace Owens has ever been right about. Yeah.
Because I don't understand the point that you're making here. Like, of course.
Wait, hold on, wait. Let me restate that. I'm sorry. The point I'm making is very clear. If I was going to, I've got a almost 13-year-old son in a few days. Okay. If I was to see that he's consuming media, my go-to would be like, hey, Nathan, why are you watching this? This is crazy. We need to look at something else. I need to, like, who are your friends? What do you
Okay, already off the bat, that's a weird approach from Destiny. I'm gonna be nitpicky as fuck because it's fun. I like being nitpicky. Already, that's really weird. Like, it's okay to have like a discussion with your child or whatever, or significant other or whatever, about why they consume the art that they consume, what they enjoy about it, what they find interesting, blah blah blah. But to be like, okay, you have to move off of it unless it's something that's like literally directly harmful, like, I don't know, watching fucking smut porn or whatever. You should not be trying to force people into enjoying different forms of art or whatever. You know, at least for me, if someone did that to me, I would bristle at their questioning of my enjoyment of the art and their suggestion that I move to something else. If you want to suggest something, be like on top of it, you know, then that's one thing. But to be like, no, we need to move to something else is bad. I just feel like that's shitty parenting.
Get online, like, we need to change our media consumption habits because this is.
I'm also not a parent.
I would never think like, I think that the school is involved in disseminating media towards him, and there's no way that we can
Hold on.
do something else. I need to, like, who are your friends? What are you looking at online? Like, we need to change our media consumption habits because this isn't working. I would never think like, I think that the school is involved in disseminating media towards him, and
Obviously, there's nothing wrong with trying to change your child's media habits if they are consuming. That's something that's not preferable, but you know, I just mean in terms, like, general terms of art. You know, you should try to force someone to like something.
Your side of the story, people are basically like, we're hopeless. There's nothing we can do.
No, it's not hopeless, but if you want to be able to do something about something, you need to be able to acknowledge the something, right?
What would the thing
so
what
you
we
can't
do about
make it's a conspiracy. It's like, no, when I graduated high school, there wasn't a single trans kid. Now you've got like,
oh my
more than
god,
50% of kids that.
Okay, she really can't move away from that. Jesus, like, we're talking about. We're sitting here, we're talking about like the music industry, just the media, or just art in general, the art industry in general, and like the ethics of what you portray and like what messages you include, and like there's even, of course, the conversation to be had of like, you know, because artists have been included in propaganda before. You know, you could well, no, I wouldn't even say that, but anyway, like, art, you know, she can't stay on. She can't stay away from the trans thing. She has to try and include it with everything she talks about, just because, well, that's what the far right has kind of like, put all the eggs in the basket in regards to that thing. But she just can't fucking stay away from it.
That they're other. That is obviously propaganda. Clearly, there's just no. It's just not possible that you didn't exist. Maybe there was one person, and then all of a sudden.
Oh my God! Again, repeating like the conspiracy, the lie, not the conspiracy, the lie that trans people didn't exist until recently. Trans people have always existed, literally throughout all of human history. Trans people have existed. Gender nonconforming people have existed. This isn't something that bears
that can
argument.
That can only happen through propaganda, right?
No.
They're suddenly being told an option. Their kid. That can
What?
only happen through propaganda, right?
Maybe,
They're
yeah,
suddenly
there's-
being told an option. They're kids, right? You want to experiment and you want to be different. You're looking for a way to stand out, and so you hold on. And in the classrooms, you've got teachers that are reinforcing.
He's
this
not.
narrative,
He's not.
this
He's
narrative.
not fighting back against this at
Yes.
all. He's not. Why?
Hollywood in lockstep with the
He's just
concept.
letting her say this shit. He's not challenging her at all.
If it was natural, like when I graduated high school.
Oh my
there were
God.
lesbians. There were lesbian kids. There wasn't a ton of them. It wasn't an identity. That's another thing. The
but
identity
back then,
thing
yeah, the
is
identity
very
is
new.
an interesting thing. I agree for sure.
and so it shows you who are they emulating? Who are they copying when they do this stuff?
Oh my fucking
because it's an
God.
option. It's just being presented to you. It's obviously not natural if it didn't exist naturally. And
I
so
Oh
agree,
my
but
God.
Culture is a very complicated thing.
Culture is not a
Movies
complicated
is
thing.
So
It's-
complicated. I think
they are-
governments
they are
pray that they have the
deciding-
amount of control over culture that you think they do. There's no shot that anybody's
Okay.
able to top down control.
Well,
that
the-
much-
Okay. Destiny just saying that culture is complicated is not a meaningful
like I
pushback.
said, there have been there's a lot of evidence that has come out, whether you're looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case or you're reading through the 72-page document for the Diddy lawsuit
Well, I
that
mean, even on the
suggests
Jeffrey
that the government is involved.
Even on the Jeffrey Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
What do you
Okay, this is what I mean. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep pausing, and I'm gonna keep apologizing for it too. But this is what I mean. There is no convincing Candace Owens to not believe the things she believes in, or not to say the things that she's saying. There is no world, no context for Candace Owens in which the world is not being controlled by a shadowy cabal. There is no context in which things like music videos, things like music, things like just modeling, illustration, things like that. There is no world in which that is not a tool used by the shadowy cabal to manipulate the people. There is no world in which this is not the case, which is why it's pointless for Destiny to debate against her. And I understand bringing her on to try to get at her audience, but I'm just gonna say, Candace Owens' audience is not interested in this either. They will continue to believe what they believe. If you pay attention at all to the current political climate surrounding her and the people like her, you will know that there's just no moving over people on this. Like, if there are, it's so small and fringe that it's basically almost not worth it. I'm not saying give up on these people, but that could be moved over. But like in this particular circumstance, there's no point. It's just fruitless.
What do you mean? What's suggesting?
Like what
government
part of the
involvement?
Jeffrey Epstein case is like, oh my God, the government is like playing a part in this?
Well, the fact that he had ties to the Mossad and the CIA, and that when they raided his home, he had his face and about 6 different passports. Who can issue passports?
Sure, but when we look at it,
Who can issue you a different identity?
Oh my God, are you telling me that the rich and powerful have inside ties to different governments throughout the world? Oh my, what? You're crazy.
When we look at Epstein, right? Epstein was a billionaire, right?
Why was he a billionaire?
Why? Because of trading or whatever he did. I'm not
No.
entirely sure.
That's the
No.
question.
No,
Nobody
sure.
knows why
I don't
him
know
or his
why.
brother
Yeah, but there's like a
billions
million
of
different.
dollars.
Sure.
Of course, to
I don't
Candace
know how they
Owens.
made their money, but to fill in the gaps
Okay.
of all of this with some.
No, you should always
Huge
know how
conspiracy.
somebody became a billionaire. That's like a very easy thing. Like somebody shouldn't just be like, I became a billionaire and you have no idea how. Like,
I'm
it's
sure there are tons of people
It's
who are
like I
billionaires that
sold a
aren't.
product. You know why Elon Musk has money. You know why Jeff Bezos has money. You should not say we can't connect the dots on how this person. became
Okay,
a
again,
billionaire.
Destiny shouldn't just be sitting there. He should be explicitly calling out for her fucking conspiracy theory posting in the fucking, yeah.
Companies or something. How will you ever know? There's no way you're gonna know that.
He did.
Then what's the question?
That's not a question. It's just nobody understands why Jeffrey Epstein or his brother have billions of dollars.
You just said did he have a ton of shares in publicly traded companies?
What do you mean? Did he have a ton
Like
of
when we
shares in
asked, for
publicly traded
instance,
companies?
so here's a question: do you know how Jeff Bezos made his money, or how Elon Musk made his money?
I know that Jeff Bezos created Amazon, and I know that Elon Musk has created a ton of things. Tesla, you got Starlink.
Okay, kind of, so not really. Bezos made his money because of the appreciation of shares of Amazon that he had a huge stake in, right? And Elon Musk made a lot of his money in shares on PayPal and a couple of ventures. And then because he had a huge equity stake in SpaceX and Tesla especially, that's where they made their money, is ownership of stock of publicly traded companies. That's what I'm saying. We can look at those people, we can say we know how they made their money.
Okay, okay. Again, it comes back to the issue that she doesn't care about this shit. The people that follow her don't care about this shit. You can sit there all day, all night, and talk till you're blue in the face, till you're gasping for breath and your lungs are giving out. You can talk about how these billionaires made their money through inheritance, through stock shares, through whatever. You are never going to convince her that it isn't the Jewish global cabal that are funding them in order to pull the strings. You're just never going to convince her or her audience of this at all.
I think Epstein had massive shares in publicly traded companies, did he? So he wouldn't have made it.
Did you actually look into the Epstein case, or are you just, because I can't tell right now if your thing is just to be contrarian?
Okay, hold on.
No, I'm being serious.
Again, the only thing that she's correct about.
Like you're just like, whatever your position is, I'm going to take the opposite, and I'm going to say something really quickly and try to say, well, how do we know? And it's like,
What the fuck? Holy shit! This is kind of funny.
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, like, let's actually have a real conversation, because tons of stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is being exposed, right? People are, for the first time, able to grasp a theory that finally makes sense, right? It finally makes sense. It makes sense that there is a black ring operating in D.C., because we don't understand why we keep sending our politicians to D.C., and then it's like they completely serve anybody other than the American people, right? So when that Jeffrey Epstein case got...
There is a conversation to be said about politicians having particular loyalties that fall outside of, like, what, the will of the people, so to speak. Yeah, it happens. And you know what? The vast majority of the time, those loyalties are to corporations. Because corporations go and they can lobby these private individual, or not these private individual, but they can spend their incredible amounts of wealth to lobby these people in order to get legislation and stuff passed to benefit the corporation. That's where their loyalties lie. Again, not just some shadowy cabal. And again, Candace Owens, though, is pointing out that Destiny isn't actually punching any of his arguments genuinely. He's just being contrarian.
Exposed, and if you were following it and reading the documents...
I did follow it. I read the entire document, the 80-page report that came out from the government. Did a report on the prison where he supposedly got killed.
And you're realizing how many artists have stood up and said this exact same thing was going on. Now you have somebody that has filed something with proof saying it's going on. And then you just have, like, a Destiny being like, oh, what if it's not going on? What if it's not? Whoa.
Okay, well, sure. So here's like a super...
Oh, maybe WAP is just really just that amazing. People just love talking about vaginas and, like, mopping the floor. It's like, you can do that thing, but it's not interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure. All right. Here's just an easy test question so I can get my bearings straight. What do you think about the 91 or so indictments for Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Do you think that those are credible indictments that have credible evidence behind them?
Well, speak to me specifically about which indictment you're talking about.
So the Mar-a-Lago case.
I actually haven't followed that one, so I'm not going to push back on that one. Okay. I can tell you the ones that I have.
Destiny is only bringing this up because that's a particular point that would aggravate her.
We've never seen the media or the justice system go after any president in the way that
doesn't matter. You could say the same about P. Diddy. You've never seen the media go after a black artist.
I didn't
like
say
this
it
besides.
did. It didn't. I didn't finish my statement. Why are you saying it doesn't matter? Why'd you just say that?
I'm just. It could be that nobody's ever done something this.
But I haven't.
Before.
You're so contrarian that you haven't even let me finish.
Why do you keep calling me contrarian?
You haven't even let me finish my sentence. You said that doesn't matter. It's like, what do you?
Why is he chafing at the idea that he's a contrarian? He is a contrarian. He does everything he does.
You said the media's never gone after somebody like this before.
You asked me a question. Mm-hmm. I started to answer it by saying the media has never gone after anyone like this before.
Okay.
And then you just said it doesn't matter. It's like, can I answer the question? Or you just gotta contradict right away?
I'm not contradicting. Okay. I'm just fighting the crazy.
She is being kind of a baby about it. I won't lie, but she is correct that he likes to just be contradictory.
Even though you asked the question, I wasn't able to answer it.
You can answer the question.
I'm glad that you defeat the narrative. No, we're good. We're good. I'm not gonna have you ask. I'm not gonna actually have you ask a question and then cut me off and say that I'm parroting a narrative when I haven't even told you what my opinion was.
We know what her opinion is.
That's not you being interesting. That's you being obnoxious.
I think that you're trying to avoid answering the question.
By being cut off?
He should have been like this from the beginning about everything she was saying. He should have been like this. He should have been making her this mad about everything. But not from a contrarian perspective, from a genuine principled perspective. He should have been doing this from the very beginning. She should have been walking off at this point. while I do agree with her that she is contrarian, I think also though that the offense she's taking here is very childish. I think it's so
you
silly.
Can finish it if you want.
You're trying to avoid answering the question. Quite literally, I was trying to answer the question and you cut me off. So
Okay, she's just
we're
indignant.
good on that. We can move on and talk about something other than Trump and his 95 indictments.
I think it's 91 or 92.
Okay.
Okay, well, what are we talking about that won't get you as triggered?
Okay. I just honestly, like I said to you in the beginning of this, I said I am an open book.
I'm just curious what
Don't-
you think about the Trump indictments. Do you think that a civil suit that's filed where there isn't a grand jury that looks over it, there's not like it's not like a DA case, not like a federal prosecutor. Do you think that the Diddy stuff is like rock solid? Do you think that's really, really, really important to look at? But then when we look at indictments that have gone to grand juries that have then issued warrants or subpoenas or whatever, I was just curious if you think that the credibility on that side is as heavy as the P. Diddy stuff.
I was really happy to answer that question. Would you like me to answer it?
Sure.
So I would say that you are comparing two cases that are not similar, and I'll tell you why they aren't similar. In the case of Diddy, you have somebody that has no power that is filing this
Incorrect.
and producing evidence to say that the justice, essentially the same thing that people that defend Trump are saying, the justice system is corrupt, right? That these people are responding and being motivated by things like the LAPD's involvement that night in writing a fake police report, if his allegations are true, and he had photos and said that he was the person that said call 911, and then seeing the media report on it and lie about what happened at that studio is very scary. It's scary if unless he faked these blood photos, which is a plausibility, but it shows you that there are people that are sitting at the top that have a ton of power, right? So the
Okay.
people that are acknowledging that and then also saying that those same people, that same network of individuals that can make up allegations and make them go away with the media or stay and make it a big deal because of the media are defending Trump and what's happening to him. So this isn't, they're actually, these two things are not at conflict with one another, what's happening with Diddy and what's happening with Trump. It's actually, they complement one another in terms of what we're saying. Now,
Okay, hold on. I feel like that was completely incoherent. She does have a point. Like, these cases are not comparable. One, P. Diddy is... Honestly, I don't think he's even... Is he an active artist? Regardless, he's an artist, a bit of an older artist. He does hold power in the sense of, like, cultural power. He is rich, of course, so he does have the ability to use that as a leverage to his benefit when it comes to fighting against like the judicial system. And obviously, because P. Diddy is only an artist and not a politician, he's, as far as I'm aware, like he's a private citizen but a public figure. There are different avenues, different laws, restrictions, and so on that that the justice system would practice in order to prosecute, indict, whatever on him. Donald Trump is a former president of the United States. He was a supposed billionaire. I don't know about those claims anymore, but Trump was a former president of the United States who committed legitimate crimes against the state, against the United States of America, who broke massive like federal laws. How do I put this? He impeded on the integrity of the office. He's the former president of the United States. He's being indicted. This is unprecedented in any way, shape, or form that a former president of the United States is having as many cases put against him as he is. That he broke as many laws and acted against the integrity of the United States, like to the degree that he did. These are not comparable, both in terms of the scale of power. P. Diddy, celebrity, nominal influence. Former President Trump, former president of the United States, literally chief in command. He the representative of the United States. Like, these are massively different scales of power. So these cases are not comparable in any other way. Even to highlight the supposed corruption, Candace Owens thinks that everything that Candace Owens seems to think everything points to. The system, there is no dark, corrupted system creating, like, false allegations against P. Diddy or whatever. Not for Trump either, but, like, she thinks that these are complementary or of one another because they both highlight the same flaws, and they don't in any way, shape, or form. They're not similar in any way, shape, or form at all. And so I think the point she's making is just incredibly incoherent.
The only case I've followed two of them. The
Also,
family
Candace
one-
Owens not going to
Can I
follow the
ask a
Trump
question
stuff
about
because
the
she. Actually, I don't know if she likes
So if
Trump.
we're
I think
worried
she'd
because of
probably
the
be more along the
case, it looks
DeSantis
like
route.
the LAPD at the very top might have been involved with something. If that's the claim, I mean, isn't Donald Trump at the very, very, very top? If he's the president, isn't he literally like the top guy in the world?
He
No,
doesn't control the courts, and that's. I mean, hold on. The point of exactly being is that
Wait.
if they feel that they have a person that they cannot control. So if there is this blackmail ring,
Wait. Is she saying that, like, the LAPD controls the courts and that's how they manage to manufacture evidence or whatever against him? But, like, Trump doesn't control the courts, so, like, everything that... What?
and it's starting to look like there is definitively, and I very much believe that, and I am not ashamed to say that it is pretty much the only thing that makes sense in Hollywood is what I read in these documents. Then it would be clear as to why it is that when you are existing outside of the ring or you are somebody that cannot be controlled, you are somebody that is attacked. Now, again, we have heard many
What?
artists, and I like that we have this example in Hollywood because we don't need to go down the path of Trump derangement. We can actually talk about people that we don't feel any way about, right? Diddy, I don't have an issue with Diddy. You don't have an issue with Diddy. We can look at this case more objectively because people,
Okay, wait, hold on. What? I'm so confused. Hold on. What's her point? Is her point that because Trump can't be controlled, he's someone who lies, or who the courts or whatever, the powers that be, can't control, so therefore they attack him, and that's what highlights the bias within the system? I'm so confused.
people that are in the media reporting that is no similar.
Do you think that the credibility on that side is as heavy as the P. Diddy stuff?
I was really happy to answer that question. Would you like me to answer it?
Sure.
So I would say that you are comparing two cases that are not similar, and I'll tell you why they aren't similar. In the case of Diddy, you have somebody that has no power that is filing this and producing evidence to say that the justice, essentially the same thing that people that defend Trump are saying, the justice system is corrupt, right? That these people are responding and being motivated by things like the LAPD's involvement that night in writing a fake police report, if his allegations are true. And he had photos and said that he was the person that said call 911, and then seeing the media report on it and lie about what happened at that studio is very scary. It's scary.
Wait.
Unless he faked these blood photos, which is a plausibility, but it shows you that there are people that are sitting at the top that have a ton of power, right? So the people that are acknowledging that and then also saying that those same people, that same network of individuals that can make up allegations and make them go away with the media or stay and make it a big deal because of the media, are defending Trump and what's happening to him. So this isn't making
Wait, okay,
also saying
what?
that those but it shows you that there are people that are sitting at the top that have a ton of power, right? So the people that are acknowledging that and then also saying that those same people, that same network of individuals that can make up allegations and make them go away with the media or stay and make it a big deal because of the media, are defending Trump and what's happening to him. So this isn't, they're actually, these two things are not at conflict with one another, what's happening with Diddy and what's happening with Trump.
What?
Actually, they complement one another in terms of what we're saying. Now,
Okay, yeah, so she is saying that, like, both the Trump and the Diddy thing highlight that there are people in power who use that power to slander these figures, that they, at their discretion, they can make up controversy or make it disappear, that they can slander a person's reputation or bolster it. So, okay, yeah, it's incoherent.
I followed two of them. The Fannie Willis.
Also, yeah, like I
Can
said, I don't
ask
know.
about the LAPD thing?
Yeah.
So if we're worried because in
I don't
the
know, she likes
Diddy
Trump.
case, it looks like the LAPD at the very top might have been involved with something. If that's the claim, I mean, isn't Donald Trump at the very, very, very top? If he's the president, isn't he literally like the top guy?
Okay, but she's making the argument that he lies out. So,
That they
what?
cannot control. So if there is this
So they can't
blackmailing
control.
that exists,
Okay,
and it's starting to look like there is definitively, and I very much believe that, and I am not ashamed to say that it is pretty much the only thing that makes sense in Hollywood is what I read in these documents. Then it would be clear as to why it is that when you are existing outside of the ring or you are somebody that cannot be controlled, you are somebody that is attacked. Now, again, we have heard many artists, and I like that we have this example.
Okay,
of
so
Hollywood
she's saying that the
meets
same
path of Trump
people
engagement. We can actually
in
talk about
Hollywood who
it.
leverage their
I don't know
power
about,
to
like,
discredit
I don't have an
P.
issue
Diddy
with
are the same
you don't
people
have
in
an
power
issue
who,
with
instead of
local
leveraging
cities
Hollywood
effectively
to
because
discredit P.
people think
Diddy, are
it's so about
leverage
Trump
the
that
court
you can't
systems
just
to
look at things
discredit
objectively.
Trump. Okay,
If what that person is
Is that way?
alleging,
Do you think
that's why
okay?
they're analogous.
I mean, I
to her.
you did jump. I'm glad it's live and you can go back and watch it. But like, I didn't get to. You asked me a question, and then before I could answer,
They
my
always
question, you
whine
said
about
narrative,
this
and I'm like,
all the
okay, that
fucking
feels like
time.
the
Oh my
Trump
God.
derangement trap. I don't want to do it. I want to have a productive conversation about the plausibility that people that are extremely powerful are blackmailing people, and these people can't can't speak out because whatever they have on them on camera is scary. You know, there's Justin Bieber. I think there's also something going on with him. His pastor said, pray for them. There are evil forces that in Hollywood, kind of at the same time as this. Cat
What?
Williams, I know he.
Okay, conspiracy.
whatever,
Okay,
has spoken out about this. There's
always
a lot
conspiracy.
Of artists that have spoken out about this. Kanye West has spoken out about this. About the control.
Kanye West, known creditable source.
I don't know, trying to dismiss these people as crazy or crackheads or whatever it is you want to dismiss them as. When enough people say something, including Michael Jackson, who's dead, maybe there's some truth to it. Like, can we examine whether or not?
Yeah, okay, so appeal to
especially when
conspiracy.
somebody is such an underdog like
And again, Destiny is not fucking pushing back on it at all in any way, shape, or
Analyzing
form.
who's
He's
saying what, I think is important. But I think that when we say that somebody's an underdog, so we're going to believe them because they fit the story that we might happen to like or plays into something else that we believe. I mean, I would just be critical of the underlying material. Like, if the sources are a few people, like, everybody stands to gain something when it comes to viral stuff. Everybody knows that. When
I'm
you
just
have
saying he
outrageous
has
claims to make,
evidence.
and if he has evidence, I think that's interesting.
Otherwise,
If it's
I
part
would
of
have
his charge
said,
and
I
stuff.
don't know, it's frivolous. Like,
Sure,
you can always
I
sue a
understand.
rich person.
But I'm also saying that, like, a charge is a charge, or a claim is a claim, or a filed case is a filed case. It'll be interesting to see what ends up playing out in court,
and
then we
I'm
actually
keen to
see.
see that.
Yeah,
I'm keen to see that. That's what I want to see. I'm not condemning the person. I'm not a person that believes that you. I would hope, and I obviously have lost faith in the court system in some ways, but I would hope that it works the way it's supposed to work, and that it will take more evidence, and that he has to appear in front of people and show us more evidence and show us more video evidence of what's going on. But
So when you say-
what I will say is
Oh,
that
okay.
it looks credible.
Okay. When you
on
say
the
that you've lost
outset.
faith in the court system, does that mean that if a guilty verdict is returned, you'll think it was a good case, but if a
No,
non-guilty verdict is
that's not
returned,
what
are you
it
gonna?
means.
Oh, okay. Well, why would you preface with "I've lost faith in the court system"?
Because I have seen some circumstances in which things that should not happen do happen, and a good example of that, if you want to talk about the craziest case that I followed in a long while, it was the defamation one, where the jury awarded, she was asking for what, 10 million, and they awarded her for 400 or 800 million just to like bankrupt Trump and her.
Oh,
allegations
okay.
that
Are they
it's
talking
time
about
for them to
fucking,
create a new law in New York so that she could bring them forth about.
Are they talking about Stormy Daniels or the other girl?
What is that whack lady's name? She got, and she was so.
Wait, are you talking about when they extended the
Carol, E. Jean Carroll.
Oh my.
limitations
Yes.
to allow people to sue people
Yes.
relating to?
And then
God,
she got
oh my
funded, to reopen.
Yeah. Okay.
and
So
change the law.
when it comes to
And then she got
this
funded
is
by
just
the
typical
person
like
who is basically
far right,
Democrat operative, but
conservative,
party, the person that
stupidity where court rules in my favor, it's fine, but court rules against it's corrupt.
I thought this law was changed in New York a while ago.
No,
I don't
it
think
wasn't.
It's specifically for
no,
Trump,
it wasn't. Nope, it was specifically after she went on and was doing the rounds on, and those were wacky. When she was like, I don't even know. When he was like, what is rape? Anderson Cooper asked her, and she was like, I think most people think rape is sexy. It's not someone
What?
hitting on you and da-da-da-da.
What the fuck?
It'd be great.
What is
if
she
I see
talking about?
clips like that, because it would be awesome for people to be able to watch it. But she was so clearly clinically insane. She was so insane that even Anderson Cooper had to go to commercial. MSNBC had to go to commercial. So this is not a woman, that was making what any person who can listen to somebody interview about their rape would say are credible allegations. But there was.
I
just
genuinely
such
don't know what she's
hatred
talking
for
about. Is she
Trump
talking
that
about
they
like the
just
ED? Okay, yeah,
knew
no, this is just the
in
fucking
no circum-
ignoring
I
everything
can't
there.
imagine what circumstances
Was
she
this
asked
a
for
war-
10 million, and the judge is like, no, you're going to give you 400 million. Other than we hate Trump so
Yeah.
much and we hope to bankrupt
Was this
him.
was this a jury trial?
There were multiple parts of this lawsuit, but it was.
Because if it went to trial and if it was a jury, then
Yeah, it was jury trial. Yes.
does anybody have a link to that rape clip? I'm curious if anybody has ever heard a conversation.
It's rape. We just gotta look at it. It's so nutty and so crazy.
Oh my
And
god.
they just kept going with it everywhere she went, left and right. People could not hold a conversation with her. She was so unstable, and she couldn't even define what rape was. She was just saying, "I think rape is just like, you know, when someone thinks you're sexy." So it's like, so did Trump just think you were sexy? She had no witness. I mean, I've just never seen anybody able to get for or however many millions of dollars she got. With absolutely
Yeah, Destiny again, just not putting that on any of this. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with everything surrounding like the E.G. Carroll case, but I mean,
maybe the.
Sorry, yeah, I'm mixing numbers. What was how much was she awarded for you guys that are like, checking? She was awarded. They gave her more than she even asked for. Yeah, they literally extended the law. The whole thing was so rotten to its core. That makes you lose faith, right? That makes you lose faith in the justice system. That's not saying that there aren't cases. There are different judges. There are different, different juries. With Trump, it's hard because people are passionate about him one way or the other. So it's going to be hard not to find a jury that is corrupt, especially when you're in New York.
oh my
But
god.
I don't see how any person can objectively look at what happened there,
Wait, what does that mean? A corrupt jury?
like emotionally corrupted, because when it comes to Trump, people tend to feel either
You mean
I love him so much
biased?
or I absolutely hate him and he's the end of the world.
Not
So
corrupt?
I think it's hard.
Biased?
to
I
get
mean-
a jury that is going to be fair in that circumstance because he's so.
Do you know where is P. Diddy being sued at?
Okay, yeah, Trump is divisive. I do understand that it might be more difficult to get like I guess an unbiased jury, but the point of getting an unbiased jury isn't getting actually an unbiased jury because everyone's going to have their biases. It's about getting as unbiased a jury as you could possibly manage. And I'm going to be honest, it is really hard not to be biased against Trump because Trump's a piece of shit. He's a liar, he's a rapist, he's all the horrible things you can say about him.
Court case to go through then.
No, you got to look at what he's suing them for. This all happened recently. The Trump thing happened in '96. Just so we're clear, this happened in 2022, 21.
All of the allegations are recent?
Yeah. It just
What?
happened. He was working on an album that he dropped like last year or something.
Who,
It's not
P. Diddy?
from
Oh, yeah, P.
96.
Diddy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought the way you were talking, I thought these were earlier allegations.
No. This all just happened, and he obtained a ton of proof because of it.
I'm not following the P. Diddy stuff at all because I don't have any, I don't know.
I would hope.
I don't really have any investment in P. Diddy in any way,
I
shape, or
don't know
form.
if you would be able to while you're in court. I'm sure his lawyer would say don't speak until things are done. And my guess is that because of the
Also, it's like the P. Diddy thing is so stupid to focus on that just from like, there's just so many other things that could be brought up and discussed with this opportunity.
Come back from it without some sort of an explanation. I mean, he named names.
Well, I think the problem, my imagination would be, the problem is that even if the photos show sexual acts or whatever, the difficult part is going to be proving that these were part of a conspiracy to blackmail or something like that, right? Because just photos of people having sex or doing whatever stuff isn't probably enough unless you've got like text messages showing some pattern of.
Yeah, I think, I guess what you're saying is that people could then say, okay, well, they're all having sex, but they're doing it willingly. But what he's alleging is that Diddy's team gets these people drunk and high.
I don't care about the Diddy shit. I don't care.
That they know are minors. This is one part of his allegation.
Look, if P. Diddy did bad shit, then fuck him. If he didn't, then I don't care. I don't care about P. Diddy. If he was, I have no trouble believing that he was human trafficking. I guess.
On cameras now explaining. Yeah, could you technically, even after it's all exposed, say like, oh well, maybe they all did it willingly? Sure, you could always.
Sure. Well, I mean, the burden would be on him to prove at least.
Which is why I really want this
sure.
to go through, because there's just been a lot of artists who have said this over the years, that there's like some sort of gang that's operating in Hollywood. And I would just like to see these allegations play out, And I think everyone should want that.
It's not a secret that there are a lot of fucking creeps in Hollywood. It's not some fucking conspiracy secret cabal that's, yeah.
Like they leave listeners feeling very powerless. So when I talk to my audience, I want people to vote. I want people to be politically active. I want people
Wait, hold
to.
on, sorry.
Take an interest in
They're
their
switching.
local city.
They're switching topics.
And I think everyone should want that, by the way.
What do you think on a broad
Diddy
level?
diddy.
Yeah. Okay, so you keep calling me contrarian. On a broad level, the reason why I tend to fight back against the overarching narratives is because I feel like they leave listeners feeling very powerless. So when I talk to my audience, I want people to vote. I want people to be politically active. I want people to, take an interest in their local city council stuff, their local races, because I think that people getting involved politically, especially voting, is a really important way to change the landscape of our country, on a local level or on a national level.
I agree.
I also think that people talking to their friends and family and spreading ideas and messages, I think these things are important as well. But I think that the reason why I push back sometimes against the broader...
Push back?
When I
Bitch,
say
you didn't push
narrative,
back against shit in this fucking debate.
the reason why I push back against the more broader narrativizing of things happening culturally is because I feel like it leaves listeners feeling very disempowered. I remember when I was...
Why? No, that's not why you should be pushing back against it. You should be pushing back against it because it's wrong. She's wrong. Okay? That's why you should be pushing back on it. She's wrong that there's a fucking shadowy government, like a shadowy cabal of these powerful people manipulating government leaders, national leaders and stuff in order to enforce their world order or whatever. She's wrong about that. That's why you should be pushing back against it, because she's lying. Not because it leaves the people feeling powerless. That's irrelevant. That shouldn't be your first issue.
The reason why I push back against the more broader narrativizing of things happening culturally is because I feel like it leaves listeners feeling very...
God.
I remember when I was in Austin and I asked Alex Jones on stage after he'd done another one of his big rants about the deep state and blah, blah, blah. I think I asked him, I was like, well, what do you want your listeners to do? And it was the first time I ever heard him be quiet for more than 5 seconds because he had no answer. So I'm curious for you, when you talk about this overarching stuff, you want to bring people's attention to it, what is a Candace Owens listener supposed to take from that? And what are they supposed to do in the real world, I guess, to fight against some of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people what they can do. One of the biggest pushes is telling parents that they should be involved in their kids' education, and you saw that. That was conservatives who brought forth that movement of parents actually showing up and demanding changes in the textbooks, and finally recognizing how far things had gone because we allowed the Department of Education to just spike the ball for decades.
Again, I don't
pay attention to what they do.
I understand, in the moment of the debate or whatever, you don't want to cut them off because you do want to make their point in order to argue against it or whatever. But again, I feel like with Candace Owens, there's just no reason to give her that space, that time, or that effort to actually discredit anything she says, because it's the same bullshit she always says. It's always wrong. It's always immoral. To
get involved in local elections because they matter more.
Getting the parents involved in their child's education is not actually her saying that parents should advocate for more access to educational materials or voting to have pay raise for teachers, or to provide funding, more public funding for schools, or to that's not what she means. What she means when she says advocating for parents to get involved is them going to parent-teacher meetings, parent-teacher conferences, standing up, causing a ruckus, fucking disrupting the event, so that way they can scream about how the school is implementing education on gay rights or gay or LGBTQ identities. She's talking about, she would, if she could, say that parents should get involved in order to advocate against racial segregation within schools. That's what she means, and that's what Destiny should be pointing out, but he's not, because with Candace Owens, I don't know, it's just anyway.
And I think that a lot of the corruption that's taking place in Washington D.C. is what we're speaking about, because it seems like no matter who we elect, when we send them to Washington D.C., it's almost like their allegiance is to the lobbies. And by the way, I believe that lobbying should be illegal. I believe
no, she doesn't.
These are the things that
no, she doesn't. She doesn't think that. She thinks that lobbying should 100% be legal. If Candace, well, actually, you know what? She might think that lobbying should be illegal, but only because the bodies of power are oftentimes, most of the times, lobbying is done by corporations to politicians in order to get legislation passed in order to benefit the corporation's bottom line, whether that be through tax benefits or subsidizing and stuff like that. She thinks that it should be illegal, not because corporations having that degree of power is immoral, but because she doesn't want any other body of power to be able to defy the government. because she is a Nazi, so by extension authoritarian. She wants a dictatorship. She doesn't want there to be private entities which can maintain a degree of autonomy and power separate from the singular governmental body. That's why she's against the lobbying. So I stand corrected.
And so I hope that in speaking to those things, when people say what would be the first things that you would do if you were in office, I always say elect people that are saying those exact same things. Don't elect people that are then going to go to DC and make it their own business, and want to grow the government because it's making them money and they're accepting money from lobbyists. That's why I always point to my favorite congressman, Thomas Massey, because I think he does a really good job of actually representing Americans and American interests. So, yeah, I'm not a person, I haven't taken the black pill as how it's termed, taking the black pill, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do. But we have to understand what it is that we're fighting, and we can't be scared to recognize a conspiracy. A lot of times we're just talking, there's questions that we have, and we just say, why is this person...
Oh, we've always got questions. I'm just asking questions. I'm just,
It actually made me go, oh, okay, if this is what's actually happening in Hollywood, then it makes sense,
What do you think for, when you look at black community stuff specifically, what would you think are the big, 2 or 3 things that the black community in the United States needs to do?
Oh God, here we go. Oh God.
The
Oh God.
Fatherless children and...
Oh, wait, let it be clear, okay? Candace Owens fucking hates black people, okay? She just likes using her identity as a black woman as a form of, disingenuously shielding herself from criticism.
And everything else that they're kind of stuck in right now.
But she hates
First
black
thing
people.
I think is to educate yourself about where it's all coming from. I think black Americans need to be educated on black history, not in the Democrat textbook way, but in the real way of understanding
Which
where all
is?
these initiatives came from. Because a lot
Where
of
did they come from?
Americans are asking the government to solve what the government created, which welfare programs obviously do.
Okay, all right. Right off the bat, she's making the argument that black people are just lazy, and that they rely on, the welfare, which is paid for by good citizens of America, aka white people. They just rely on that to support their degenerate, shallow lives. Already, off the bat, she's doing that. So let's go.
And it was the intention of Lyndon Baines Johnson to do that because he was an avowed racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give black Americans any measure of freedom until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act. To restore some calm nationally because he once obviously destroyed the black family, asking the government to solve what the government created, which welfare programs obviously destroyed the black family.
No, they didn't. Welfare programs were not singularly responsible for destroying the black family. There are multiple reasons why the black family was quote unquote destroyed. A lot of it has to do with policing and stuff. I mean, obviously, to say that black people are systemically oppressed, especially back in the old days, is a bit of an understatement. But no, I'm sorry, welfare did not single-handedly destroy black families. Destiny mentioned it, but he obviously didn't elaborate on it. The fatherlessness of the homes, stuff like that. No, what happens is a lot of the times black people get caught for meaningless, pointless, unimpactful, unconsequential crimes. They get thrown in jail. They're slapped with misdemeanors and felonies that go on their records forever. They get inundated into communities, usually as a consequence of being thrown in jail, in which they're exposed to criminal channels, and then that's kind of what they acclimatize to. And then, when they're let out of jail because they have they have a criminal record, they're not hired for jobs. But they're also not hired for jobs because they're black, which means they can't, have a reliable source of income, which means they can't pay for food, they can't pay for medicine, they can't pay for housing or water or anything like that. So they once again turn towards criminal avenues, of which there were far more for black people than there were for white people, especially, again, because back in the old days, black people just did not have the same avenues towards accruing wealth as white people did. A lot of what has destroyed the black family, quote unquote, is a consequence of generational inequalities. White people could accrue generational wealth They, your grandpappy from 200 years ago could have gotten a nice plot of land and made, a business or whatever, and they could have passed that on, through the different years of family, whereas black people weren't afforded that, really. They really only started building. I think the last time I heard about this, black families generally were only able to start building generational wealth, I want to say 4 or 5 generations ago, of course, around the time of when slavery ends, so maybe a little longer, but even then, it was still incredibly difficult, It's just the ways in which black people have been disenfranchised are so multivariate that it's impossible to nail it down to one singular issue. And conservatives like Candace Owens, fascists like Candace Owens, like to sit here and pretend that this nominal, trivial, unimportant, unimpactful issue such as welfare being I guess, how do I put just being the sole cause of something like the so-called black family destruction, which a lot of times, yes, is there less, I guess, normativity towards how black families have formed as a consequence of the factors of oppression that they face? Has it led to disruption of family units? Yes, absolutely, 100%. But from what I understand, also, a lot of times, black families are still families. Just because the parents don't get married, or what have you, doesn't mean, there's a lack of the father's presence or the mother's presence. And they, there's just a lot going on here. But, people Candace Owens like to simplify it down to a singular issue that they can blame everything on, like welfare. And, yeah, it doesn't seem like Destiny is going to meaningfully push back against this.
Racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give black Americans any measure of freedom until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act to restore some calm nationally. So I think, first of all, everything begins with education, and I think that
education that your policies and your ideologies deprive
70%
black people of.
Rate that we're seeing across inner city understand that, which is why it begins with education, and I think that people that are nefarious understand that, which is why the 70% illiteracy rate that we're seeing across inner city communities is in my opinion by design. 40% of students now can't pass the literacy exam, excluding Black America.
When we say
the lack of access to education is a deliberate effort on the part of a group, yes, to kind of make these kids, the kids of the the next generation, those who will be running the industries and so forth in the future, to make sure that they're more ignorant, so they're more easy malleable, they're more easy manipulative. However, that group is not Jews, it's not white, it's not any of that. It's pardon my socialist tendencies, it's the bourgeois, it's the capital owners, it's the the wealthy. The wealthy make efforts to ensure that you are uneducated and ignorant, so that way you're not aware of their exploitation, so you can't take measures to take away their power and give it to you, or more accurately, the community, the working class. That is the effort being made here on the part of the bourgeois. It's not Jews making black people stupid, or what she believes, which is black groups making black or no, actually what she believes is that the Democrats are making black people stupid by depriving them of education, so that way they can secure the black vote, because then the black people will be too stupid to understand that they're being enslaved by the Democrats with a virtual plantation or whatever, because she's literally made that argument. Anyway.
People that want to control you. There's a reason why when we had slave codes, slaves weren't allowed to learn how to read. When you're not educated, anything I tell you becomes your reality.
I can understand that, but slaves worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah, so do the American. So do Americans. Every day we go to work and our money gets sent over.
So do the Americans.
They have to be illiterate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well now.
You are, because you keep voting in the people that are taking more power.
Oh, here it is. Yep, there it is. There it is. There it is. Exactly like I said. Candace Owens believes that black people are being deliberately kept ignorant so that way they can be easily controlled by the Democrats in order to secure votes. Literally right there. I literally just said it. Yeah. Also, yeah. When you are uneducated, you really don't have anything to resort to except for physical labor, except work or crime, and yeah. So anyway,
Those people are voting much. The black gangbangers and stuff.
I think, yes, black people do vote, and it's not
Wait,
just...
hold on. To be very clear, I didn't say black people. Like, illiterate black people, but slaves like worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah, so do the American, so do Americans. Every day we go...
so did Americans. Black people are
Well,
Americans,
no,
sure.
but they have to like be literate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well now.
You are, because...
Okay, I mean, just because... Okay, I'm not... I mean,
the people that are taking more power from you,
Do
right?
you think
So
those people are voting much? The black gangbangers and stuff?
I think, yes,
probably
black
not.
people do
They probably
vote.
don't vote,
Hold on,
like,
hold on. To be very
out
clear,
of choice. Not that they
people,
can't
because I don't
vote.
think that all black people are like this. I'm saying that like specifically the ones that are illiterate, involved in gang violence, and are unemployed. Do you think that they're like out there voting in a meaningful way that's changing the I guess the political landscape of the United States? Are they having like a meaningful impact on the electoral system?
Yeah, so even if people are fully illiterate...
Probably not, but that's again, that's a consequence of lack of education.
vote if they have an emotional reason to vote, which is what the Democrats very much understand. I want to correct my language there and say, because I think it's uniparty at this point, that they will continue to vote emotionally. So when you see something like, black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd, what you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances, so that
Okay.
they're emotionally reactive. Because
Okay, hold on.
I have what you black people rioting and looting in the street. When you see something like, black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd.
Okay, so what she's saying here, God, I'm just doing Destiny's job over here. Yeah, so what she's implying here is that the black people, even though it wasn't just black people who went out and rioted or protested, more accurate. Well, no, there were riots, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like just because a riot happened doesn't mean it's unjustified. But regardless, she's implying here that these black people, or just people in general, who went out and protested and rioted as a consequence of like George Floyd's death, aren't doing so out of any genuine reaction out of a genuine reaction towards, or born from like legitimate oppression or targeted bigotry or anything like that. They're doing it because they are being told to do it. They've been programmed to do it because by the Democratic Party, by the Democratic establishment. That their reaction to that was something that only was a product of manufacture it was a manufactured reaction, essentially. That's what
you are dealing with, is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances, so that they are emotionally reactive. Because look, I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population...
Also, I want to make it clear, just because you can't read or you're illiterate or whatever, 1, doesn't invalidate your opinions or experiences, and 2, doesn't make you inherently fucking stupid. It just means you don't have the necessary means to access more broader categories of information. That's all it means. It doesn't make you a worse person. It doesn't make you stupid.
An emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So
I guess it's interesting because it feels like the most, like we would say the most mind-controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send black people into like the colleges and turn them woke instead of...
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look...
It's so fun. Okay, hold on.
Speaking,
I think it's very funny that, just to highlight this, that people like Candace Owens like to simultaneously say that the most, like Destiny kind of pointed out, like the most programmed, most sheeple, most do what they're told, most controlled individuals are simultaneously the uneducated, ignorant, primal, savage black people, and but are also the educated, the enlightened, literate college students of like the liberal or democratic establishment. I like how at the same time those are both the most controllable demographics.
Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet as a
College doesn't turn them woke instead of...
actually no the but that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting. Like, I
What do you
mean,
mean
like,
when you say Americans are getting dumber?
What-
do you mean?
what I
What?
mean is that, I mean, talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down, and like SAT scores, everything is going down, and which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT. This sort of a thing that they're
Sure,
that
which
some
I think
people are
they've
saying,
gotten
which
rid
is-
of and brought back
Excuse
in some places.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't
But
know
my
if the
point-
same
my-
people
no,
getting illiterate
no, no,
are
no.
the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah,
you know?
we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated
Okay.
when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid. And
Oh
that's
my
the
God.
matter.
Okay, hold
Scores,
on.
everything is going down, and which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the tests, passing exams.
Okay, first of all, like, Americans getting stupider is not a fucking consequence of, like, that's just, like, degenerating quality of education, and, like, more importantly, the lack of access to higher education. College is fucking expensive these days, and nobody fucking has time for it because they're forced to work like fucking 2 minimum wage jobs to barely able to afford rent for the month. Like, you can't expect people in conditions like college students, for example, since we're talking about college students who are hundreds or tens of thousands, potentially even hundreds of thousands in debt, in college debt. They're currently trying to take courses online. They've got school maybe 3-4 times a week. They're also trying to balance that with the stress of working a job which doesn't pay well. And in some cases, some students rely entirely off of tuition. They don't work, and that can be very, like, there's just barriers which exist that make it more difficult for people to attain that education. And for the people currently in the process of trying to attain that education, there are extenuating circumstances such as the stress of work, financial anxiety, and stuff like that make it more difficult to hold on to the information which they are supposed to learn when going through institutions like college. So that, again, I take everything Candace Owens says with a grain of salt. If Americans are getting stupider and stupider and stupider, it's not a consequence of the colleges cucking themselves out for to push like a woke agenda or whatever. It's just because people just don't have the time or the energy to really meaningfully dedicate themselves to the education that they get, or that they just don't have the means to get to that education. I can't fucking pay for college. That's for damn sure. At least not like just straight out. Most people can't, but like the alternative to that, if I did want to go to college, would be it'd be going into tens of thousands of college student loans and debt, and that's not something that a lot of people can pay off. The other thing too is, like, even if you do go to college, you get your degree, you get out of school or whatever, you are not guaranteed a job or a career in the fields that you were doing study for. It's a pretty widespreading issue of freshly finished college students coming out and holding on to a degree for 4 or 5 years, but they're working at a McDonald's that whole time because they just can't find a job in that field, whether it just be it's not in their area, or and they can't afford to move to where they can practice that degree, or that the places which would normally be accessible to them in order to pursue that career just are oversaturated, or there's just a lot of different issues which play into that, and
the literacy level in
It's-
America,
yeah.
everything is actually going down, and like SAT scores, everything is going down, and which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT. This sort of a thing that
Sure,
some
which I
people
think
are
they've
saying,
gotten rid of and brought
which is-
back in some places.
yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't
But
know
my
if the
point-
same
my-
people
no,
getting illiterate
no, no,
are
no.
the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah,
you know?
we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid, and that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that, how every decade within America people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my colleague
What? Okay, people get the degree. Okay, I
Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old or 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry, like unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we
glorification of the old days. Oh my god.
which in my view it is there just to exist, to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
I mean, you say
Yeah.
that, but the reality
Push woke
is,
ideology,
aside
and that's
from
what
the
she
social
believes.
thing,
That's
on
what
the economic
she
side,
thinks
America
college
is, like,
exists for.
America
She doesn't believe in
is the
higher
most
education.
workforce- the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that, like, if you wanted to control...
It is true. It is true that we are working harder and getting paid less than pretty much
One
ever.
is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read
They're not the
esoteric-
most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people that graduate with
because-
college degrees
yes.
can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling
Okay,
you.
I will acknowledge that there is a difference between the capacity to take knowledge in, and I guess, how do I put this? There's a difference between, like, the ability to take in information, synthesize it, and form your own ideas, your own arguments, your own beliefs, and so on from that information. And then there's the kind of inverse of that, where you take in information purely and regurgitate that information purely without any critical analysis or synthesis or anything like that. And I do think that there are... okay, actually, hold on one second. I'll be right back. Okay. I do think that, like, how do I put this? Yeah, we'll just continue.
Not the most literate.
What would I look up
we
to
are not,
verify
we
that?
are-
If I wanted to see, like...
you got to do the research in your
I
own
have
time.
done the research
Like,
in my own
I'm
time. That's
happy
just not
to.
true.
But what do you mean it's not true?
Just
what
what
do
I
you mean?
said. As
Just
an people,
because
as
you
an
just-
owner of a college degree, median wage
that
comparing
doesn't
to that
mean just
person is
because you
like...
own a. You can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that that person is educated
First of all,
or
hold on,
highly
wait. Well,
literate.
firstly,
Like it's
more
it's
than
just
half of
absurd.
degrees awarded are awarded for STEM-related things. Number one.
Okay. Her just casually. Okay, I know people like to meme about, like, how do I put this? Like, oh, you go to school for gender studies or art or whatever. How can you consider that person educated? That shit's actually really fucking complicated. And the people who go to school for that, even if they never fucking see a day of a career in the field that they study for, are infinitely more educated on, like, basically anything than Candace Owens is.
Number two, $100,000 is a way over the average we're paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid.
And number-
So I'm just.
What did you go to school for?
The average annual, as far as I'm concerned, you can look this up. But if you are going to school, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally, if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount
Just
of...
look it up. You got it Google, right? Like,
isn't
what state are we in?
Isn't the
what state are we
median-
in? Miami? Let's go to look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida out of tuition rates. Because what do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at... So one, this is for...
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
Yep. So one, this is the out-of-state tuition.
Yes, that's what I
Number
just said.
two, hold on. This is the sticker price. Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants. You've got different types of student aids. You've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very, 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 very few people
So
actually pay
I'm
any of
right,
this
but you're
price.
trying to make me wrong.
Well,
so
no,
I
hold on,
paid
wait,
that
you're
price.
right. No, what I'm
I
saying
paid
is
that price, so
what I'm
I
saying-
paid back my loan. So you're not going to convince me that very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price and they paid back. So you're just saying like, and yes, granted my school was more expensive. It was I think $35,000. There you go. The average $29,000.
So if we look at
you can just
the
say
average,
you were right,
sure.
Candace.
So 51%.
And you're not going to get hurt.
So 51% of bachelor's degrees for students graduate with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt, right? So that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquire debt, and then their average debt is about $29,400.
Are you?
Not
Are you?
100,000.
I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
The point
Are you
I'm saying
trying
is
to
that it's about 1% of bachelor's degrees. For
Wait, okay, hold on.
My loan, so you're not going to convince me that very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price and they paid back. So
Yeah, I think I heard that like 20. I want to say like 20,000 to like 30,000 is the average college tuition. At least I feel like that would be like correct.
and
I
yes,
feel
my school was
people that I
more
usually
expensive.
talk
It
to
was,
say that
I
that's
think,
what it is.
$35,000. There you go. The average
So
$29,000.
if we look at
you can just
the
say
average,
you were right,
sure.
Candace.
So
and
51%.
you're not going to get hurt.
Yeah, so 51% of bachelor's degrees for students graduate with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt, right? So that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquire debt, and then their average debt is about $29,400.
Are you?
Not
Are you?
100,000.
I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
Okay, yeah,
Are you
he.
trying to say?
The point I'm saying is that, one, the sticker price for an out-of-state tuition school is not what I would use as the median price you need to pay for a four-year degree. Number one. Number two, very few people actually pay.
We didn't talk about that because I said this is the median price. I said it is utterly absurd that people are spending $100,000 to come out with a degree. We weren't talking about. We weren't debating the median price.
Sure, but number one, you're going for out-of-state. If I'm in-state,
Yes,
my tuition is $6,400. I'm
I
getting
literally said out of state. I actually said out of state.
Yeah, but why do I care about that number?
What?
I don't know where
What?
you're going. The point
on,
of
wait,
when we started this conversation.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna say that I think he was trying to be contrarian to whatever she was saying, and that's what led to this. And she does kind of have like a point on like, why are you fucking doing this right now? Like, it's pointless.
That there are individuals that are going to school that are spending $100,000, right?
I don't know what that
for
has
a
to do with
degree
anything.
in gender studies.
Yeah, but
If you're
we're
going-
talking about, yeah, I'm sure, and I could probably find people with $1 million student loan debt that got an even dumber degree than gender studies and basketball or whatever. But in general, that's not the cost of a college degree. And in general, college degrees confer huge wage premiums onto the people that earn them. These are like,
No, they don't, and that is the reason why you have so many young women that
Okay,
are.
I don't know
and
anything about that.
This is why,
I-
I think that what you actually do here is harmful, and I'm gonna tell you.
okay,
No,
hold on.
let
Wait, let me finish my thing real quick.
explain.
Hold
Let
on,
me
I'm sorry,
explain.
because I've done a lot of research on college degrees, and a lot of research
No.
on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. But
not
when you look at an
culture
actual
war.
economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages given to people that even have some college
Biggest
education,
regret-
all
biggest
of
regret
it,
is me going to
all of
school.
it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports the idea that high school earners on average are out-earning college degree earners, or that 90% of people are going to
Go
school
to
for
trade
basket
school.
weaving.
Do not listen
Why
to
would
him.
you go to
Please
trade
learn
school?
a
Trade
real-
school?
learn a
Trades
real
on average-
craft.
Why would you go to trade school?
Please go to trade school. Please do not end up. And I talk about this on stage the whole time. And I'm on the universities. I did 2 universities this year. Please, if you do not know what you want to do not go spend a ton of money putting yourself in debt to go into society already having debts that you need to pay off to make $25,000 a year in a career path that you didn't even know that you wanted to
Why would a
take.
four-year
Okay, I do kind of agree with this. If you're not sure what you're wanting to do for college, if you do want to go to college, you're just not sure where to go or what you want to study, don't go to college. That, however, does not mean go to trade school. Wait till you're comfortable with what you're wanting to do. Wait till you figure it out. Wait till you're comfortable moving forward with that, and then take on what you can take on. I agree that if you're not sure what you want to do in life, don't go to college. Don't fucking incur a bunch of debt. Be responsible. If you, as shitty as it is, put your nose to the grindstone. Just build up your savings. Make sure that you're being financially responsible as much as you can within your means. Of course, not everyone has the same opportunities or whatever as everyone else. But yeah, just hold off if you're not sure what you want to do. Not saying don't ever go. Just there is never a time that is too late for you to go to college and get a better education. Just wait till you know what you want to do, and that way you can be comfortable with moving forward and making the necessary sacrifices in order to achieve that goal. Candace Owens is right on this, but not for the reasons that she thinks.
Listening
$25,000
to
a year.
Destiny, and by the way, I am. Thank you for saying she's right, Destiny. I am so right. Please go to trade school and don't listen to this, and listen to me because
Trade school also is not
I bought into this
invaluable.
rhetoric.
at
Because
all.
I was in high
Trade school
school,
is
and
also
it was
really good.
great, you're
If
gonna
you
go,
feel like that's what
you're
you want to
gonna
do,
go,
then
and then you get out in the real world, it's
they
gonna be
pick up
great, you're
people.
gonna have
We could
better
always use more
money.
electricians and
It
plumbers
is
and stuff.
a lie.
What'd you go to school for?
That I don't care what website he is looking on, like to tell you that is a lie. The overwhelming majority of people, I'm so glad people in the chat are saying that I am right, because the overwhelming amount of people are shocked when the real world then smacks them in the face, and that lie, that dream that was sold to you by your guidance counselors in high school, that it's going to be so great and you're going to be able to make more money, and you just start to realize that it is absolutely crap. And
Where
I
did you go to-
really would like to say, do not disrespect people that go to trade school, because I just
I'm
that
not
was just
disrespecting anybody who goes to trade school. What are you talking
like,
about?
It's just like you
Wait,
were
why
like,
are we virtue
did
signaling on this?
because
You shouldn't go to trade school because if you go to college, you make more money.
That's not true. It's just not true.
It's so funny that Destiny's getting fucking pissed about this, but none of the fucking JQ stuff.
And you will make so much money doing jobs that actually bring value to society.
Computer
People that
programmers
are-
don't bring value to the society.
people that are-
Mechanical engineers don't bring value to
I
society.
am not.
People that-
If you want to be a mechanical engineer, yes, but if you know what you want to do and you know you want to be a chemical engineer, I'm not saying nobody should go to college. I'm saying too many people are going to college. They are putting themselves in debt for things that they don't even know what they want to do, and they get out into the real world.
That's
they can't
true.
make any
You know,
money, and it
kids,
is
high
a
schoolers,
struggle, and they
kids
are-
in general
they are
do face a
suffering.
lot of
I'm
pressure
watching these girls
to
that are, like,
immediately go
whoa,
into college
right?
after
Like,
school,
to
so they end
mock
up
these
locking
girls
themselves
who are
into
crying
things that
on
they don't want
TikTok
to do
who
and
are
then
saying,
accrue
like,
debt
you
over
know,
something that
I
they're
got
never
into college,
intended
and
to.
here's how
So,
no money that I
yeah,
I didn't know this.
like, don't do
I
that.
actually feel bad for those girls because we have to just stop lying to people about what college is. It's been inflated. You
when
are
you look at like
are
black community
the worth
stuff,
of it.
isn't in the black community, isn't one of the reasons why women are starting to out earn black men is because they're going to school and they're going to college and they're actually getting degrees and they're getting real careers? Isn't that one of the biggest contributing factors? For
I don't know that.
okay, okay. Final question.
I think, by
'cause
the
you
way,
gotta hard
I
up,
think
yeah?
women, by the way, all across the board are graduating at higher rates than men.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to say, because I do want to make a point about
good
what you
God.
did. Because I did see that you did
Okay.
you did a video and you were like taking the
Oh
side
my God.
of Rose. Like you saw this Candace.
Did she say selfish bitch? I must have misheard.
It's a selfish. Should mention not marrying her. That's my,
Holy. Oh, I'm gonna get.
I have no idea
I feel
what
like
this
I might
fucking
lose
shit
my
is.
last episode. I agree that these people can be cringe sometimes, but you're saying she's a narcissistic that men shouldn't marry? You're taking that so far.
It's a partnership. It's a bond. It's forever. But there's no difference between dating and There marriage. is a other than
There is a difference. You just ignored it because you've got a dialogue tree and a narrative you want to push, and you're not going to engage with anything she's saying. She gave you a perfectly legitimate answer. It is a more permanent form of relationship. It's solidified by law. It's not something you just walk away from or break up from. It's a commitment, ideally for lifetime. She gave you a good answer. You just don't like to hear it because it was a good one, and you wouldn't expect a random OnlyFans girl to give you one. And now you're surprised that a bunch of girls that you thought were just going to be titty bimbos are actually giving you a run for your money.
You're still talking.
Okay.
Some insecurity coming out of it. The women today are very low value. If you bash anybody,
Oh my God, I don't care about any of this. Can we go back? Thank you.
your lifestyle.
No, so you're not.
Oh my God.
I'm actually,
sitting down with Hose on the whatever podcast, and you did.
you were being so rude to that lady
no.
that made the TikTok. Oh my God.
Okay, but the point is that you then went through
You
this.
called her a bitch.
You then went through this video
Mm-hmm.
and just tried to justify these lifestyles, right?
I don't think I was trying to justify the
You
lifestyle.
were.
What I was doing
You
was I was
were.
fighting it back against the insane judgment from one side to
You
the other.
were.
We live in America. People should be able to live the lifestyles they
See,
want.
and
as long as
that-
they're not harming other people.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, all right. Destiny is getting very animated over this. I just want to say, and honestly, I'm gonna be as uncharitable as possible with this. I think he's just insecure. I don't know. I feel like he might be insecure and trying to justify the way that he lives because I understand that he, polyamorous or cuckold, and I don't think he's trying to justify it in a secure sense. I think he's trying to defend it from a perspective of like he's secure in his own relationship. I think he's insecure about his own relationship, and that's why he's getting as frustrated as he is about it. I could be wrong. I'm being uncharitable, most likely. But like, I don't know. I shouldn't afford my opinions from just clips, but the clips I've seen make me believe that he is not very secure in the relationship that he has with his
To
wife.
people that are watching this, to anybody that you follow, literally, you should take a measure and really ask yourself whether or not that person is telling you that stuff because they believe it, or whether or not that person is telling you something that ultimately it feels good because then it means that you can remove yourself from responsibility. Oh, I see, yeah, it's fine, I can be a hoe, whatever, but is going to lead you to misery, right? And so I tell
This
people,
stuff
you know,
is
I see
so
a lot,
like
I've been through a
inconsequential
lot,
compared to the
I've
things that they
lived
could be
through a lot,
talking about
learned
with
a lot
Candace
of myself,
Owens
where I
that
grew up,
Destiny
and I'm
could be
trying to
confronting
write
Candace Owens
books.
on.
And I'm trying to tell you that, yes, I understand that as a young woman, if you jump onto OnlyFans, you can make money, and you can make money very quickly. But I am also telling you that if you do that, you will the overwhelming majority of people, can you find an exception? Sure, will regret that sort of a lifestyle. And,
I think I'd probably agree with you.
And to these young people that are listening to you doing the like, YOLO, if it makes you happy, don't. I am telling you, like, throw this out. It is trash. Like,
I agree. You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young
You should not
person.
be aspiring to
You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young
open
person.
relationships.
You should go to
being
college
a
and get a degree
prostitute,
instead.
Somebody that's just holding up a mirror to tell you that you're great and you're doing amazing. Like, you don't need that. You're not great. You can do better, right?
Okay.
Your life is worth more. There
Go to
are
college,
rules that
get a
work.
degree.
College is
Do
every
your stuff.
single.
If you're a hoe, as they put it, there is nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not hurting people. Legitimately, I know Candace Owens is saying that if you want to do like sex work or whatever, or sex work adjacent things like OnlyFans or whatever, more power to you. If you're comfortable and confident in it, more power to you. Don't do it because you are insecure looking for some sort of pointless validation. Just don't do that. Do it because you're confident in yourself, because you because it's something you want to
If
do.
your family's poor, why
There's
would
nothing
you
wrong with it. You
go
shouldn't
to
feel judged for it.
Why would I have to take out loans to go to? I have to take out loans. My family can't afford to pay to put me through school.
Hold on. Was your family actually poor, or did you just lie?
What are you talking about?
If you go to school and your family has a low gross income, you fill out the FAFSA. And the FAFSA is going to award you a ton of federal aid, assuming that you don't actually have the gross income from your parents to actually go to school. So if your parents are super poor, I don't know why you had to pay full out-of-state tuition to go to a university.
I did. Do you think? What do you mean? Did I lie?
I don't know how, if your parents are poor, if they have a low
Listen,
gross income,
here-
how do you not qualify for the FAFSA?
Okay, well, all I can say to you is that I had to pay 35 almost. My school cost more, and by the end of it, and I'm also including because then I defaulted on my student loans and I had to pay it back. So now I had to pay back the bank for not being able to pay them on time.
Something doesn't match up here.
Okay, well, I'm telling you the truth, so I don't know what to say.
Did you fill out a FAFSA?
Yeah, well, I also didn't have parents that could help me fill it out. I was a first-generation college student. My dad.
You didn't have a school, the same school counselor you told these people to ignore? You didn't talk to one of them and said, hey, can you
I
help me
don't
fill
know,
out?
like, if you're trying to shame me for not
I'm
doing
not trying
things
to
right,
shame you.
but,
I'm
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm
Okay. Fucking Destiny again pointing something out that doesn't fucking matter.
The point is, you complained about having $100,000 in debt. You told these people not to talk to counselors. And you said that your family was poor, so you went to school for journalism and an out-of-state tuition. You didn't fill out a FAFSA for any student aid. There's a ton of money there.
I'm just saying, like, what is your point in saying, am I lying about it? Like,
Because
what is,
I don't understand how you came from a poor family and didn't fill out a FAFSA and get a ton of student aid.
None of this matters. None of this fucking matters, Destiny. None of it matters, okay? Oh, Candace Owens is a liar. Candace Owens' stories are inconsistent. Candace Owens, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Why are you fucking why are you trying to find plot holes about this? Why are you trying to find hypocrisies in this? When she's fucking at the beginning of your debate and through all of it, it's literally fucking JQing and you don't say anything.
Because the implication
Literally.
if you filled out a FAFSA, your parents' gross income is used to heavily determine the amount of student aid that you qualify for. And if you're coming from an incredibly poor family, you usually get a ton
Well,
of
that's
student
not what
aid.
happened. Maybe that's circumstance. And please, guys, jump in the chat. Like, if somebody said Destiny, that's stupid. I don't think they just give you free college if you're poor.
Why? Why does this
If you go to
fucking
university,
matter?
free money?
I'm sorry. Why? Why does it matter? It's so mind-boggling to me that Destiny decides to get
So I had to get
to get frustrated animated, and he decides to attack the most pointless, hollow, meaningless, like, contradictions, hypocrisies, or what have you. It's just so frustrating that he can do that for this, but he doesn't fucking pull out any stops from when she's literally just sitting here being racist and JQing and all of the horrible things. I just don't get it. Her conspiracy theory shit, he doesn't say anything. Fucking,
didn't even own property. So it's like, no, I'm not lying about that. So I don't know what
So
rabbit we were
isn't the
chasing
issue
there.
here, isn't the issue here then, why would you go, also I understand if you have to leave at any time, because he said you had a hard out at 3 and we're at 3:06, so,
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would go to an out-of-state school for a journalism degree and then turn around and blame colleges for being bad when it feels like
I'm not
you-
blaming colleges for being bad. I am telling people the truth so that they can avoid
Oh my
making some
God.
of the mistakes.
Which is
that-
don't go to an out-of-state school for a degree that might not confer a high amount of money?
I probably should have. Yes, I'm sorry that I was 17 years old and I didn't have parents that were able to provide the economic advising. Of course, that would have been smarter. And my sister, 2 of my sisters went in state, but they still had really heavy loans. So I don't know about this FAFSA magic thing that you think happens. Then my sister paid about $20,000 a year. When she went in state, so
So irritating.
I don't know what, I don't know what we're talking about at all.
so irritated. Why did I? Why?
My
Why?
older sister just finished off paying her loan, so I don't know. I just don't know what you're talking about. The FAFSA magic button. Maybe if honestly, if I missed the FAFSA magic button and they were going to pay for everything, then maybe I am just really stupid, and I had no idea that
Yeah,
they
I
would
don't
just
know.
pay
Hey,
for
listen,
everything.
I'll be
as
honest.
long as
Maybe
you
it's like
show that you're
a
not.
difference in like areas or people that we talk to. Maybe because the high school I went to was like very oriented and trying to get you to college. But when I was going to college, like I think FAFSA stuff was like the most important thing, like student aid.
But
and
I
qualification
did,
for it.
I just-
I did fill it out. I don't know if it's because my family had multiple children and we were all going to. I don't know what the circumstance is, but I'm just telling you the truth is that I paid for my college, and I do try to tell people that if you don't know what you want to do, spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure that out is probably not the right move. Like
Sure.
you can always go to college, you can go later. Try to figure out what you're good
Do you
at,
think-
get an internship. I hire people that are right out of high school because I don't just believe this. Like,
Sure.
there was a young woman that now works for me who was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I kind of just want to be a mom. I was like, do not spend. And her out of tuition rate was $50,000 for a Tennessee school.
Okay.
And so I hired her. I mean, I'm not telling people, like I said, I tell people how I actually live and what I actually believe. And
If
I
you
don't
would've
know,
went
and I
to-
don't know that you do that.
I
don't
do.
don't justify women acting like whores.
Well, I don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
What?
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
It's not prescribing a lifestyle.
Of course
it's just
it is.
You're,
When
you're,
somebody
the-
said that they would be happy not having kids, you were like, oh, she sounds like a conceited bitch or
That's
something.
not
It's
what
like-
she said.
That was a
That's
bit,
not
yeah,
what
that
she
was the
said.
TikTok clip you were responding
That was
to.
not what she said. And I
Why
can tell you
does this
exactly what she
matter?
said.
She was got to go on
I said there was
vacation.
This
absolutely
Destiny
no
gets this
reason
opportunity to bring
make a
Candace Owens
comment
on and
that
actually confront her on the
suggests
things that she
people-
believes
she
and
was
says
actually
and
insulting people that
propagates.
had
And
kids.
these are the
She
things he
wasn't just one video,
chooses
she
to
makes multiple
fucking attack
videos
her on
about
to
how
to,
great
to
life is when you don't
challenge.
have kids. If I was making videos with my kids saying about how great life is if you just stop being a loser and get married, people would come after you because people hate the traditional lifestyle on display.
Wait, but that's literally what you guys say.
No.
Get married, have kids. That's the only way to go. Otherwise, you're a loser.
No, we do not. That is, you're just making up words
Oh,
that
okay,
have
so
never
then maybe
come
that's
out
not
of
the
my
case.
mouth.
So wait, so if somebody said, if there was a young woman and she's like, I'm 20, I think I'm going to go to a career and be a whatever. I don't think I want to have a family. I don't think life's for me. You would say, okay, well, that's fine. You should make that
No,
choice.
I
then.
would say that's completely normal at 20 years old. That's
Oh, wait. So then they should change their opinion later on. What if she was 25 or 30? She's like, no, I don't think I want to have kids. Would you be, okay, that's fine.
If she was a 20-year-old person and she was saying that I don't think that I want to have kids,
Of course,
then
Candace
what
Owens
I
is
would
saying
say
that
is
women
that's
have an
pretty
obligation to have
typical because you're
children
20
and
years
have
old
family, blah, blah,
and
blah. She thinks that
you
youth
haven't yet had
means
the
you
biology
can't
thing
have
happen
those
to you.
ideas
They
or
say
you can't
that
actually genuinely feel that
biological
way. But
process
whatever, it
is
doesn't
very
matter.
real.
And
When you get into your mid-20s, you have a totally different feeling.
So if a
like
woman
it's
is
like something.
25 or 30 and says, I don't think I want to have kids, I think I like my career, I'm going to stick with it, you'd say, okay, that's fine. It's your choice.
Yeah, as long as that person isn't trying to. And by the way, I think that person would probably be. It would be unusual. Like it wouldn't be the majority of women.
Oh
I
my
think do want to have
God.
families and want to aspire to family, and that's fine. But when you try to create a brand of it and you say things like, "Oh, well, if you have kids, then you can't just smoke pot and stay in bed and be naked all day." This is actually something that like Seth Rogen just said.
Okay.
What you're doing
Sounds
there
kinda
is you're
awesome.
actually trying to. You're 30. How old are
Five.
you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what are you? What is that? What do you?
What do I do?
Like if you were 20
Well, let's
and
say
you were
I'm a
saying this
millionaire. I
stuff,
travel the world. I get to research and talk about whatever I
get-
want. I get to
yeah.
talk to cool people like you and other people. I live in Miami in a high rise for $5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean, what do you?
but I'm saying like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
Would I try? Would I? I
Because
don't know.
you're a
Maybe I won't.
35-year-old man, right?
I am indeed a
and
35-year-old man,
you're
yep.
kind of
Oh
doing
my
the,
God.
I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like
They do,
like I said,
agree.
if you were 20, I'd be
Yep.
like, I get it. When you're 35.
Okay, alright, so just to clear this up, what Candace Owens is saying is that... How do I put this? There are certain expectations that Candace Owens and people like her have of people who are like 25 plus years old. They, in accordance with their ideology and their nuclear family and so on, you should be married at 25, having at the latest, having at least one kid by like, you should be married at like 24, having a kid at like 25. Then you should be raising a family, worrying blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? So she sees anything that steps outside of those particular conditions as again deviance and she think because let's be frank here, most people these days, well I won't say actually no yeah most people these days they just don't want kids, and that's I don't know, I feel like that's just a consequence of a lot of like people just can't afford it. People don't have the time, they don't have the money, they can barely maintain relationships between, well not barely, but these days relationships really just kind of begin and end at finding a partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, maybe getting married, and there were kind of stops there. You know, people can't afford a house, people can't afford kids, they can't afford, you know, like, they can't afford the kids' medical bills. They can't afford the kids, you know, if they have to put them in like a daycare or whatever. They just can't afford that. So most people don't have kids these days. Do I think most people want kids? Kind of, but I also don't think there's anything wrong with anybody not wanting kids, no matter what age they are, no matter what demographic they are. I think if you're a 55-year-old dude and you want no kids, no wife, no nothing, you just want to stay at home, smoke pot, and lay in bed naked all day, fine. You're not wrong for wanting to do that. You're not like some moral degenerate or anything like that for wanting to do that. Candace Owens thinks you are, but like you're not. You know, you're not contributing any harm to the world or anything like that. At worst, maybe you're not contributing to the world, but like, I don't know. It's just, I wouldn't. It's silly to morally impugn you for that.
You know, say things with conviction. Say things that have
plenty
meaning.
of things with conviction, yes.
You know, and
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biologically blah, 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
yeah, I know, but your behavior, and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is, I'm going to be 35 this year.
Also, the idea of like, okay, you're young, so you don't understand this. You know, you may not want kids now, but you'll want kids later is so fucking annoying and patronizing. No, actually, when I told that, my parents told me that. I have maintained for a while that I don't necessarily want kids. I think, the dynamic back then was a lot different. You know, I wasn't aware of myself or my, you know, my identity as a non-binary person or my sexual preferences as somebody who's bisexual. I back then, you know, I thought I was straight or whatever, but, you know, even back then, I said I didn't really want kids. They're just a lot of work, you know, and, you know, a lot of that did come from a lot of that was rooted in, like, me being young and a little ignorant to the world and not sure, but when I would express that to my parents, being told, well, you may feel that way now, but you'll change your mind later, was very irritating because it was invalidating of my own choices for how I wanted my life to look in the future. You know, it's just, it's very patronizing and annoying, and it made me want to have kids less every time I was told it, because it created this expectation of me from my parents that began to impede on my own choices on how I wanted to shape my life later. So I just as a note, you know, don't fucking sit here and tell people that just because they have one way of thinking now because they're young, it's not even like they may change their mind later. If they say that you will change your mind later, you know, you may, to coming back to this example, you may at 20 years old just want to lay, you know, stay at home, smoke pot all day and lay in bed all day. But when you hit 25, you'll change that later, that attitude later. And that's not necessarily the case, you know. And being told that really, really is fucking irritating, because you're sitting here basically invalidating my choices now, saying that, you know me better than I know myself. And it's just fucking patronizing and annoying.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. Okay. I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old, like when I'm on the Whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying, like, you know, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man, okay, and
what do you think I'm selling people?
And you know better, okay?
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
What does that mean?
What I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe. Why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did. You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they essentially, you can do something better. You don't have to sell your body this was your like snazzy video, come back to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't understand.
I don't know, whatever.
know
It's like,
what your take
there's
on
no
videos
point in
is.
really
There's
arguing
researchers
this.
that give you like talking points to my videos, but generally what I talk about is when it comes to lifestyle, you have to analyze both sides of things. If you grow up incredibly religiously conservative and you are like shamed out of sex and you don't have sex with anybody your whole life because you're super, hyper cognizant of your virginity and all of these like weird things, and that's like coming from an unhealthy external place, I say, oh well, maybe that's worth exploring. On the flip side, if you grow up like hyper liberal and you fuck like 20 guys by the time you're 20 years old and you just want to bang everybody and you've got like weird associations with men and everything, I'd say, hey, you should probably slow down. It's probably not healthy. I just encourage people to like explore honestly, to have like conversations with themselves, with their parents, could be with priests, could be with therapists, could be whatever, and to kind of figure out like what works for them and don't get pushed into one direction from a culture side. It could be the left encouraging people to be way too promiscuous, or it could be the right for people that are shaming people for being promiscuous and saying that, well, this one lifestyle of family stuff is going to biologically be suited towards you as you get older. I think both of these are equally stupid because it just pushes people in the other direction.
So you don't believe in anything, is what you're saying.
Is that what you got from that?
Well, you're not committing to
I
anything.
believe in actually thinking for yourself. That's what I think. I think that every human being roughly exists in this like paradigm where if you fuck 100 people by the time you're 20, probably not healthy. If you've never had sex before and you're 30, probably not healthy. And that you should probably like try to gravitate towards what are like human norms, and then what are things that make you happy depending on your culture, depending on your geography, and then you kind of like explore in there. And don't be shamed out of exploring from one side to the other. Don't be pushed into something because somebody like Candace Owens or somebody like Stephen Bonnell tells you that you have to do a particular thing, but just like kind of
I
explore
don't
and
tell
figure out
people
things.
that they
To
have
be fair,
to do a particular thing, but if I
he
see somebody that's
kinda
just
spit in
doing
there.
heroin, I'm not going to be like, it is whatever, and it's just like whatever. You're just
Do you think that
doing, having your
heroin
sex.
is comparable to recreational sex?
I am.
Yes, she does.
Frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to 20 men per night. Yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that has
Oh
to be
my
hurting her
God.
soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her
and
soul? What
yeah.
if she just has a different lifestyle than
She
you?
doesn't.
Completely.
She
No,
does-
she does. You know?
No, what do you mean? She's telling you. She was very honest, actually, and that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her it is just about money. Okay, but when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And
Why?
this when
Why
you
is that a
when you
broken
see
individual?
somebody who says that they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the cool guy
Okay.
at the party to be like, yeah man, it's whatever. Like,
I think it goes without saying that heroin use is not the same as like casual recreational sex. The fact that, again, like spending time debunking or like arguing against, I don't know, it's just silly. I feel like this shouldn't even be a fucking argument to be had. But yeah, no. Heroin use is not a recreational thing. I'm sorry. It's usually the beginning, or at least contributing to addiction. And people that use heroin, usually aren't the most mentally stable people. Also, heroin is like a massive chemical addiction. Sex, not so much. You can have sex for fun. Obviously, if you're going around and you're fucking, in like a month you fuck 100 people, that can be a little much, but it really depends on you and your thresholds and your lifestyle, Maybe you are a working, maybe you are a working girl and in a month you do see 100 guys, but like, that's something that you can personally tolerate and it doesn't disrupt your life in any meaningful way, It really just comes down to the individual with that kind of thing, at least in terms of like, what we consider casual sex or what have you, but like I'm sorry, but like heroin is not comparable. It's just heroin use is not a comparable thing to recreational
it's like, sex. No, you actually.
There's no
structure
recreational heroin
somebody
use.
To say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your
Also, it's
entire
like
life
it's not a
ahead.
matter of them doing it because they have to do it. It's a matter of maybe doing it because they want to do it. Some people have really high sex drives, and that's what they get a lot of enjoyment out of, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying sex. There's nothing wrong with receiving satisfaction from sex, whether that be personal satisfaction because you got off, or whether that be satisfaction from, being able to help another person achieve those, same feelings or whatever. But yeah, it's
Ahead
like...
of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy, and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying. You're just
Man.
Do you think I'm telling women on average that fucking 20 guys
when
tonight
you
is a
make
good idea?
videos and you're replying to conservatives who are rightfully saying that this lifestyle is not good, which should be abundantly clear to every single person, yeah, what you're trying to do is lie in a clever way. And ultimately, like I said, if you were 20, I'd be fine with it. But when
First of all, I don't know why if I was 20, why that would make you
when
fine
you're
with it.
because
You'd have the same influence in your audience regardless. Number
Yeah,
one,
she has
that's
very
fine.
arbitrary.
So what?
What's-
Your brain's always developing as you grow.
No, your brain develops when you're 25, 26 years old. And so when you see a 20-year-old and they have
Biologically, you can still psychologically evolve, cognitively
I think
evolve.
it's life experience. I think as you grow
No,
older,
but like
you
literally
experience
factually, I know if you want to Google this, but your brain develops when you're 25, 24.
If you
but
really
Yeah, but it
Google
doesn't fucking-
factually, the 25 number came from one study that was done like 30 years ago where they only measured brain development up to 25, and the reality is the plasticity of your brain and every other structure of your brain continues to grow into your 30s. That's technically where that number comes from. It's not true. You can look it up later if you want. The 25, 26 thing is a misnomer. It's not actually
Okay.
true.
Well, like I
Okay,
said,
that's fine.
if you were 20,
Sure.
I would accept. But there is such a thing as
There is a limit of like
objective truth,
there.
and
Oh my
people that
god,
should
there's like a
and
biological limit to
pretend
what your body
not,
can do, but that
and
does
let
not
everybody
have any
choose to do
bearing on
whatever
you
they
as a
want.
person.
It's no about things that are harmful to people. Like objectively speaking.
So I'm curious,
like,
wait, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is harmful or not harmful?
when you're selling your body and sleeping with old.
I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is like healthy for a human being?
Well,
Like if you go past this, you're like clearly over the line.
I'm not gonna say to a person, this is a number that you should sleep with, and this makes
Okay,
you
well,
bad.
don't accuse me of believing in nothing. I'm not speaking out of position
I'm
where you only attack the most
specifically talking
extreme
about
people.
the whatever
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm going to attack the same people that you do. If some woman is on saying like, oh, you can fuck 20 guys a night and do OnlyFans when you're 18, I'm going to say, in general, that's a pretty wacky, that's a pretty out there position. I argue with tons of people over this. I don't encourage people to start OnlyFans.
What are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill? When you, as a 35-year-old man, see me sitting down with these young women trying to say, you don't need to do this, you don't have to do this for money, and you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch, or like whatever, like she's blah 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 blah, she's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed,
No, she's not trying to tell. Okay, again, I haven't seen that video or anything, but it's not about trying. Always, when conservatives make these arguments, it's not about telling these people that they're worth more, because that's not the objective of it. It's they invoke the idea of trying to tell someone that they're worth more in order to justify ragging on them for being degenerate. That Candace Owens actually doesn't believe that these girls are worth more. She believes exactly as she calls them. She believes that they're dirty, disgusting whores that just fling themselves around because they're shallow and greedy. She believes that they are worthless. She believes that they are degenerate. She believes that they are nothing more than a sock, that guys can use. That's what she genuinely believes. But she justifies it by invoking the idea that she is doing this in order to demonstrate that these girls are worth more. So I feel like that's important to point out.
More than this, that came from the heart. Actually,
No, that is the most condescending thing a religious person could say to a non-religious person. I will pray for you.
Okay,
Yeah, I will pray for you. That is really annoying. I hate that
know
shit.
You went to a Jesuit school and you got some issues with somebody.
Why do you think I have
Oh
an issue
god, the
with that?
Jesuits.
I love
Okay.
my high school. I think it's fine.
Because for me to say, like, I meant what I said to her, that I would pray for her. Like, when she was describing
Why
her
do
life,
you
she
need
was
to
very
tell her that
upfront
you'll pray for her?
because I did pray for her.
Then do it privately. Why do you need to tell her that? You're only telling her that because you think you've got such a condescension about you. You've got such an air of superiority that you're going to pray for
Air
her
of
to your God.
superiority? Because I
Yeah.
said, God forbid someone says they'll pray. That's obviously an air of superiority because
It
they're
is.
saying they're going
It
to
is.
include you in
Because
their
they think that
prayers.
you're lesser than them, or that you're somehow forsaken in the eyes of God, which so they think that they're gonna fix you by praying for you, and that any progress you make on your own, of your own free will, of your own volition, is a consequence of God guiding you to a better light.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, why are you even reacting to that? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for everybody that listens and watches this show. When people say that they're going to pray for you, they actually mean it, you guys. They just mean it. There's no double entendre thing going on there, and anybody that can go back and watch that clip, you will see that I was not speaking above her. I actually genuinely responded.
How much longer is on this thing?
She
Oh
was
my
so
God.
honest, and she was
God,
so
I'm almost there.
forthcoming.
I almost
She was-
made it.
I thought I actually
I've
wanted
almost
to do more
made it.
stuff with her, and we tried to reach out with her because she wasn't trying to lie or trying to pretend like her lifestyle was for health. She was clear that it was for money, and she was like, I'm not going to lie, this is why I do this. And I genuinely prayed for her. Actually, we were not enemies that were sitting across the table. So no, it was not condescending when I said I pray for you. It was a fact. When I left, I said, I will keep you in my prayers because I have in my heart, I want to see that girl in 10 years and know that she left that field.
Oh my
and
God.
she is able to speak to women that are still within it and think that they have to sell their bodies for money and sleep with 10 men per night. I am going to continue to pray for that young woman, because we need people who transform their lives to then show people that they can transform their lives. And it's not condescending to pray for anybody ever. So
Yes, it is. It is
I will pray
extremely
for you too, then.
condescending.
you should, yeah, you should.
Okay.
I hope you pray for me. I want you to include me in your prayers. I want every person watching this to include. But I feel like our society has gotten so like anti-Christian. Like, oh my God, they're trying to be something. It's like, no, like I'll pray for you. I will literally pray for every single person that I think needs a prayer. And I felt like she needed a prayer. Like she could be there, you know.
Okay.
And you should watch it. Her and I had there was no beef between her and I. We were
Well, you're
just
telling me I
talking.
did watch it and I responded to it. So I remember watching and responding to you. Go
Okay,
All right.
wrong
I agree with all
in
of
your
that.
life, and
Yes.
so that culture
Yep.
needs to come back.
Yeah,
and
I think that's totally fine.
everything that's gone wrong in this society is by people being like told that praying. No, there's nothing constant about it. It's dope. It's
I
cool.
don't know about that,
This is the new
Do you
this is the new wave.
Well, listen. I disagree with everything you say. I think you're harmful to America. You think I'm harmful? That's fine. I do
No, I
appreciate
didn't say
you
you're
talking
harmful
to
to America. I just said
Okay.
it is
All right.
harmful.
Well, you know what? We did it. We made it. We made it, peeps. Oh my God, my brain fucking hurts. It's swelling. Oh, I think I feel fucking a wrinkle or two forming. Oh my God. Oh, that was horrible. Okay. Well, in short, I think maybe I'll watch the Destiny v Alex Jones stuff or whatever. But oh wait. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna. Oh my God. Okay, I'm putting this in for later. Okay. In short, I think Destiny is at his core contrarian, and he likes first and foremost to feel that he. How do I put this? I think he's a contrarian first and foremost, and I think that he operates out of spite a lot of the time. I think that his concern first and foremost isn't making an actual argument or, trying to be principled or anything like that. I think his concern first and foremost is trying to come out on top looking smarter than the other person. I think that's what he wants more than anything else. And, it used to work. It used to work really well, how do I put this? It's very difficult to look bad when debating right-wingers, conservatives, Nazis, fascists, whatever whatever it is. I think it's very, very easy to come out looking good in those circumstances. I just think it was very convenient for Destiny because playing contrarian to these people, of course, means that you end up making progressive arguments. Candace Owens sitting here saying that, college institutions are corrupt because they're woke or whatever, and they're trying to push the trans agenda, from Destiny's perspective, being contrarian to that is extremely beneficial because you end up coming out looking good. It naturally plays into it, where you are arguing in that circumstance in favor of progressive policy and progressive education and stuff like that. I think the issue, at least now that I'm looking at it, maybe, I have another video that I want to go over that would be probably better demonstrate Destiny's flaws. But I think that when it comes to his debates with progressives, liberals, or leftists or whatever, I think his desire to be contrarian first and foremost becomes his greatest downfall, and that's how you end up with him taking the more right-leaning kind of grift on. The other issue I think though is that I do think he is kind of a little grifty, at least at this point. Maybe he used to genuinely front his positions, but I think that one, bringing on people like Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens to your platform is extremely harmful. I don't think that, again, I've said it a million times throughout this stream, it is not inherently bad to bring people like that onto your platforms or to platform them explicitly for the purpose of allowing them, or specifically for the purpose of demonstrating the weakness of their arguments or demonstrating the weakness or immorality of their principles and so on. However, it has to be done very responsibly. You have to be cautious because by platforming or by providing a platform to these people, you can broaden their reach so that they move people over much in the same way that you're trying to move people over. It's just that when they move people over, it's over to it's over to bigotry, hate, oppression, and things like that. I think that Destiny platforming these people is harmful. I think that, at least in this Candace Owens debate, he didn't meaningfully push back on really anything that she said. I feel like the things that he got upset over or did actually provide some sort of argument for were, how do I say, a no-brainer, extremely easy things. Oh, thank you, Diego. You're so helpful. Oh my god, thank you for being my hater. But yeah, like Destiny didn't meaningfully push back on any of this, and by platforming these people, by going on their platforms, their shows and whatnot, and exposing his audience to them, it kind of creates it brings more people, more attention. It brings more attention to these people than really they deserve. And I think especially in the current political climate, it's you're not really gonna pull medium people over very well. I guess I should say there are fewer medium people to be pulled over. Most people are going to be polarized these days. Progressives aren't really going to listen to conservatives, and conservatives aren't really going to listen to progressives. So that makes something like what Destiny is doing in this video far less valuable. I wish, I not that I've seen, it doesn't seem like this really picked up any, weight or anything, but yeah, it's very frustrating, especially with someone as big as Destiny, to see him bring people like this on and then not meaningfully push back. He really just kind of sat there and let her, spew her garbage. And he, even if he was doing it for the purposes of like, okay, letting her hang herself with, giving her the rope to hang herself with, or kind of like, letting her say her stupid shit and then letting the audience take in how stupid it is and be turned against her merely by product of how stupid her points are. It doesn't matter if he doesn't push back on these, if he doesn't make any meaningful argument against them, then she's just getting to sit there and say her Nazi shit, which she got to do until the very end of this debate. Extremely disappointing, frustrating, and a little worrying, so it's just, yeah, I that's kind of the goal of going over this today. Next time I'll probably go over the full debate of Destiny versus that one reporter who was arguing, I'm assuming, in favor of the Palestinians, which you should be in fucking pro-Palestinian. You should be against Israel on this, which I think would probably better demonstrate Destiny's flaws. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I'm fucking tired. My brain is mush now. So I'm any stream. Oh, thank you.